Public notice has been duly given and a quorum is present. The meeting is duly constituted and ready for business. So the second order on the item on the agenda is approval of the agenda. Can I have a motion and a second? Discussion? Seeing none, I'll call the question. All in favour? And opposed? Seeing none, that carries.
Additions?
Well, that was now.
Well, hand was up.
Oh, sorry.
Oh, was that one? Is this when we do additions?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
There you
We'll
go.
rescind the
Sorry.
the motion.
It was a flapping hand.
Okay.
12C, if we could put new business, 12C, smell remediation at Calvin Grove.
Yeah.
And 12D, permission to have a beer garden at Central Beach on Canada Day.
Can we move C? Am I expected to speak on the one that you just brought up with smell remediation?
I'll lead
Are you
and
hoping for
we'll
that?
see what staff says.
Okay.
It's probably a 15-second topic.
Okay.
Okay. Let's see how we can solve that problem.
Yeah. Curious.
We can't move new business earlier.
No.
We'll excuse you on that one.
Okay.
Ron can bring it up, and then we'll do it at the staff level later.
Sure. Pam can definitely speak to budget.
Mm-hmm.
Or you,
And
actually, I could do this in a roundabout way.
I can leave. I can leave notes for.
I can do it in the management of public works Q&A.
Sure.
Does that work?
Sure. Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay. So in that regard, then, if we could move 8D to become A.
C.
No.
Oh no, so
A.
AD, sorry.
And then the rest just become B, C, and D. So that
Thank you.
Nikki can.
Smell
take
goes. Smell goes. The beer garden goes to.
Yeah. So we'll do A2 becomes A1,
Okay.
and A1 becomes A2.
Okay.
That's okay with it, Ron?
Yeah.
Just to
Yeah.
change the
Yep.
schedule? Yeah.
And I have 3 items, and I'm not sure if they're new business or unfinished business. So I wanted to give a report on the Lions Bay Fitness Day Challenge.
Yeah, is that in any previous minutes? It is. So
Is
I
it,
believe
or was it
we unfinished.
taken, it is,
It was, I think, so.
Yeah. So let's add it as an E under 7. Okay.
and then the photo contest?
What do you think, Shauna?
That was already in there too.
Yeah, so we'll make that F, 7F. Yeah.
And then the Lions Bay Rain Barrel Program?
That
Would be new?
has not been brought to council. That's only gone out in communications and
So
IC.
can I put
So that
it
would be
as-
under new, yeah. So that would be E.
I think it would be D, because we removed smell
Perfect.
remediation.
Okay, that's just going to form part of the report, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, good. Yeah, so
Sorry.
just to revise that, so the permission for beer garden is C, and rain barrel is D. Anything else, Helen?
Nope.
Anything else, anybody else? Okay, now I'll call the question. All in favour? And opposed? So that carries. Public participation. Mr. Zordigan.
May I?
Yes, please start the clock.
Oh gosh, that 2 minutes is gonna kill me because I'm talking slowly. By the way, we noticed it from last week that the amount that we are charging for ticketing for cars is not appropriate amount, and it has to be at least double. The reason is if they want to go to the beach in downtown or some other part of the Vancouver, they have to pay at least $10 per hour, but they prefer to stay here about 10 hours and they pay $35. And they don't care to pay $35. This is one point. The second point is just still we do have a pee on the street and just firing whatever they want to do and they play with that. And actually, in the bylaw officer voicemail, it says that the bylaw officer is at this time and that time. It seems that if you call jail and they said that, okay, from 6 p.m. no one is going to guard in the jail. Of course, everybody goes to the jail and just fire whatever they want to do. It means all the people, they know that from 7 p.m. at Saturday or Sunday, we don't have any bylaw officer. Welcome. They come over here and they have a party till whatever they want to do. The problem is we have to do something for after hours, after 10 p.m. I talked with Mandy and she said that she's going to introduce me and the other residents around Kelvin Grove that approve it, that we can call after 10 p.m. to the tow company to pick up the cars. And actually you do need 2 companies for towing, not 1, because during the day that there is 10, 15 cars, just they have to tow it with 1 company, it doesn't work. This is one section that I want to address to you. The second section, which is not related to this matter, is I can see that this beautiful administration, they have many important things to taking care of. It means you are not going to wasting your time for those bylaws that existing and they have a great response. I'm talking about the filming. We don't need any changes in the filming because it's very
Okay, I'll stop you there if I may, please.
Yes,
we're
sir.
out of time, and unless you're going to introduce anything new on the filming issue, I think we've heard that from you before. So
I'm going to introduce something new.
Okay, we'll indulge you for another minute then.
May I?
Yes?
The filming bylaw, it says that any impacted residents, it means any part of the Lions Bay, the impacted resident should be agreed for filming. If one of them say no, it means no. And we are not here, you are here, all of us here, you are representing us, that we have a better Lions Bay to live, not the worst Lions Bay with the noise and nobody had a peace and tranquility. This must be really addressed. And please do so, and talking about the bylaw officer, don't forget the ticket is not the right amount.
Okay,
Thank
thanks.
you.
So I can respond to, I think, all of these points on behalf of council right here and now. So we are aware that the parking fines are too low, and we are aware that people are simply treating that as a parking fee, and parking at the beach for $35 fine. I'm not able to commit us to any course of action, obviously, until staff have done research and council has agreed. Some of the things we'll be looking at there include using pay by phone to actually simply pay by the hour, and you will get an SMS when your parking's up so that we can actually drive some revenue. That will address your second question, issue, which is the bylaw officer's hours. We will look into, even this summer, increasing parking fees sufficient to pay for increased bylaw enforcement hours.
Yes, sir.
So we will certainly be taking off any message and advertising that the bylaws are enforced in certain hours. That's easy to do. That's just an administrative thing.
I appreciate if you send my name at least and the other residents to the tow company that they accept our call for after 10 p.m. They come over there and pick up those cars that they are passing the drive to each other.
Okay, so that's a separate issue in terms of violating parking regulations.
Yes, sir.
I will be asking staff to investigate for the tax that we pay to the RCMP, which is $112,000 a year, if we can request the RCMP to drive through the parking lots
Great.
once at about 11 o'clock at night, 10:30 at night, with a Lions Bay ticket book and issue tickets. That alleviates the problem of our bylaw officer confronting 5 or 6 drunk 20-year-olds. So I don't know if this can be done, but we will be finding
But
out.
about the towing company, please do not forget. It's
Okay,
very
so the
simple.
towing company-
Introduce us that we can watch those cars and call them to pick them.
That we'll have staff look into. So you mentioned firing. They're down there firing. What are they
Yes.
firing?
The kids come over there and just go to the beach, and even though sometimes in the corner of the parking lot and make the fire,
Oh, I see, I
just
see.
enjoy
Building fires.
drinking.
Yeah. Okay. Okay, that is against all our bylaws. So that's
There's many trees that maybe they make the fire.
okay. Good. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Anybody else? Okay, we'll move on to delegations. There being none, we'll move on to adoption of the minutes of May 19th. We'll start with you, Fred. Anything?
Nope.
Jim? Helen?
I think just one wording. What is it? 8I. That sentence, and thanked the public works staff instead of two.
Yeah, just drop the word two. You see that? Okay.
And then that was it.
Okay. That's it.
Yep.
Thanks. Ron?
No, they're mine.
Nothing? I've just got a few. Can we say, Shauna, under public participation and delegations, if there were none, can we say none?
Yeah.
Just so that we know that,
What number is that?
well,
3
3
and
and
4.
4
3 and
in
4.
this instance. Well, in every instance, actually.
Yeah, we can.
And then a more semantic thing, under unfinished business, because when we approved the agenda, we'd agreed to drop those. Should we not say something more like this item had been deferred to the next council meeting? Or is that an unnecessary, what do we think?
Well, first of all, the minutes of the meeting is taped. The minutes are created. If I read this, I see public participation, there's nothing there, then we had no participation from the public. If I see delegations blank, then there are no delegations. I don't know why we would have to stop, put a little statement in there saying, because the meetings are recorded. We keep records anyways. It's just, this is just a review of what happened, and we certainly would remember in the council meeting whether or not we had delegations at that time. We all keep notes, I believe. So is it really important to have staff?
Type the word none?
Yeah. It's just a thought. It's just, I'm just thinking it's over.
You guys are bylaw. Show of hands works for me.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want people to have to go and listen to the tape to necessarily remember. And quite frankly, I don't remember from one meeting to the next what happened. So, yeah, it's a nicety.
To me, none is up there with the gallery number.
Yeah, this is just an information item.
Yeah.
Everybody okay with that?
No,
Yeah,
just
so
the word none.
just none. Yeah, if there were none, and if there were some, then
We're covered.
naming them.
Yeah.
So, like we had today, then it would just Mr. Azagordian addressed on various items. Let's drop the item had been deferred because that's a grammatical nicety. Again, for public questions and comments, under 13 in this case, none. That's all I had. So, anybody else? Gone. So, I'll take a motion to approve and a second. Any further discussion? All in favour of approval of the minutes? Opposed? Hearing none, that carries. So we will now return to item 6, business arising. We'll start on page 9. No, there were several action items before that, so we'll start on page 4 of the package.
Item 8A, I received a draft, that's fine, thank you.
Good, thanks. B1, Nikki,
Sorry, where are we?
it says you were to research reducing the size of the black pipe on Upper Ocean View.
I'm fine as a carry forward.
Yeah, fine answer is,
Sorry. Oh, on the beautification
Yeah,
project?
that's
Yes.
fine as a carry forward, then as
Okay.
the works manager gets time.
fine.
I can
Shauna,
actually provide you a brief, would you like a brief
Shoot.
explanation on that? So we have looked into, did some preliminary investigations on simply removing the black pipe and reducing the size of it to something that was not quite as oversized. That turned out to be a very expensive solution. It would be about $6,000, which seems
That's a
very,
no. That's a
very
no.
expensive. Yes, exactly. So right now we are just investigating filling the area. So we've got the black pipe running down the ditch line. We can't dig any further down there because there's actually a water main that runs underneath it. So digging is out. But we
Is the
can.
water main like within a foot kind of thing or something?
It's right.
It's right there?
It's right in the same location.
Thank
It's that close that we would not want to start ditching.
Good.
Okay,
Yeah.
so making it lower isn't really an option, but it would make it look better. So what we're currently looking into is filling around the ditch line, feathering it into the upslope section of the road, and then perhaps putting wood chips on the top.
Perfect.
If we did that, it would definitely look better. However, we would have to put signs up indicating that there was critical infrastructure underneath the wood chips, because my concern would be that people would then go, excellent, it's parking, and it's off-street parking. So you would have to add signage to it, which would not necessarily be aesthetically pleasing either. So it's a bit of a toss-up, and if we can defer to the next meeting like you had indicated, I can bring forward a report that says, here's some things that we can.
Thank you for about 3 different things there. That's great. I think the potential solution would be fine in the neighborhood because this is a infrastructure master plan future item, so that covers
Definitely.
that. The $6,000 is just a no.
Yeah.
I would also.
It looks better in the summer because the weeds grow over it.
Well, not anymore because of the vigilante neighborhood, which is my next offer to the works manager, that the vigilante neighbors are quite happy to do the weeding on this stuff because there's quite a lot of rhodioes and arbutus trees and other shrubs that are there. So if we can come to some agreement on this and put the work in place, we would probably get 20 residents out there fixing the place up.
And we don't want to lose the ditch, do we not? Don't we still need a bit of a swale there? Or does it not actually run?
The water definitely runs through the pipe, but
Yeah,
the pipe is doing its designed work.
But the
It's
ditch
just
doesn't actually trap
oversized.
anything. Yeah.
Not really.
So
no.
it's just the pipe is the bypass so that it doesn't run in the ditch, and there's
Correct.
nothing else.
I mean, you're going to get rainfall, but
Yeah, but only in that.
most of
specific
the
area.
vast majority of the water is diverted through the culvert into that pipe.
I'd be loath to spend too much or any money on that because it's all subject to a much bigger project recommendation.
Chips
coming
if we
up
got
with
them, it's fine.
Are you okay with that?
Yes, what I'll do is I will put together the final numbers just to make sure that it makes sense. Ultimately, this is a beautification.
Exactly right,
project.
and so the cost issue is a big deal to all of the residents for sure. I think the pipe size is probably the biggest issue because if it was something smaller, we could paint it, do something that didn't make. Anyhow, I think we hammered this one to death.
We agree it's oversized.
Okay.
Absolutely.
No, it's for 100 year flood.
We, my recollection of the pipe is that the pipe was put in there for a reason, because there was a problem with drainage in that particular spot. That pipe solved the drainage. They used that pipe for a very good reason.
Yep.
I'd be loath to touch the substructure, which has got the other pipe underneath there, because it's carrying water from the ground,
Yep.
and this pipe's carrying water from the surface.
Yep.
So until the IC master plan is developed and it looks at that kind of stuff, I think what you're looking at, your fix, although I say it may look nice for a while, I think in the end it may cause a problem, and you're better off probably just leaving it be and waiting till the infrastructure plan comes out, and then we can tackle it with a proper, because we're going to be working, the infrastructure plan is going to have to identify that surface in that area, because there's already a problem there.
Yes.
So I think you're right.
I think that from what I can gather, and I'm not entirely certain because I was not here when this pipe went in, it was always intended to be a temporary solution, and it was the most cost-effective temporary solution at the time because the pipe itself was on sale. So it was oversized simply due to a cost factor, which made sense at the time. And so now we're dealing with the aesthetics of that. So I would agree. I'm more than happy to defer to the IMP or put something in place that is very light and easy to remove for aesthetic purposes. Either way, I'm more than happy to do either. I just need some sort of direction. So I've got two competing directions right now.
I think the consensus is to do nothing. Is that correct?
No.
Okay.
Okay, so just to recap, we've got ugly black pipe. Residents are unhappy. Water's going down the pipe. Works manager's offered to cover it.
But only then there will be need to put signage there.
Fine.
How high, how costly, how low, what wording? What about putting
How about
sort of bollards with a rope?
It's not nearly as ugly as the pipes.
I'm not
It's close.
the residents could put 8-inch rocks on the thing. And nobody's going to park over it.
That would be in contravention to a bylaw.
I think, again, I honestly feel that the best solution is leave it with the IMP, attack it that way. If we need to doctor it up, paint it, advertise putting artwork on it, whatever the case is to make it look better, but as soon as you start covering it, you're playing with its ability to carry the water and do what it has to do.
My concern is also that it's above grade,
Yeah.
It is.
so you still get a hump there.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
It'd be a massive amount of wood chips as well,
It'd be
which would have to be
perfect.
removed at some point.
Yes.
I withdraw on this one. I gotta pick my
I
fights.
would suggest that it's very high on the priority list. There was actually a project in play that was going to talk about reopening the swale into
Times have
Rundle.
changed. Let's move
So
on.
I don't think we're going to be living with it for much longer.
Okay, fine. Thank you.
You okay with that?
Let's. So my ask would be that works managers answered a bunch of stuff.
In answer to what Mayor Burr is saying, it is very high on the infrastructure management plan because of where it is. That area has been a concern for a long time. So I think you'll find it's one of the
First things.
one of the
Well,
first
there is a
things that's gonna
project
be
plan
done.
underway, right, Nikki?
That said, but one of the first things is 2 years away.
Yeah,
that-
potentially.
So
may well
let's
be,
let's
yeah.
look at the calendar.
Okay, how long have we lived with it? I'm starting to get to like
3
that part.
years. Yeah, thanks. Side of the village you live on. Thank you very much.
It's not as offensive as it was 3 years ago. Okay, so the answer to you is do nothing.
Stand
At the
down.
moment, stand down.
Do nothing. Okay, moving on to B2. Shauna, this is yours. To add to the weekly village news notifying residents to send suggestions to the budget. Did that happen? Thank you.
And I was wondering with regards to that, so who does this feedback now go to?
I actually followed up on that. Sean is
I get the emails.
Sean is the receptacle for it. Pamela, I would see it too.
Yeah, I mean, ultimately it will go through the normal budget
Yeah.
process, so I guess it would go to Pam.
And go on the big Excel list.
Copy to Ron, yeah, maybe, yeah, some of them will be worth looking at, some of them will be,
The two that have come in, we talked about already today.
okay, good. Okay, so moving on to 11. Mayor Burr to respond to the 5-year plan. I have not done that, I will do that. Likewise, the second one. Or did I? One of them I think I responded to. Just put me down as we'll accomplish this week. Mayor Burr to inquire with I didn't know what this one was. Can anybody tell me, remind me? What's a parking tax?
Someone brought it up.
My notes are,
I believe it was Councillor Hughes.
Yes.
Did you? I think you brought it up. I was just listening to the transcripts today, the recordings from the meeting, and you had made mention of a road tax, something to do with Metro.
Yeah, and using it to cover the cost of the water, pay for some of the washroom upgrades.
that's right, that's
Yeah.
kind of, yes, I now remember. It's checking with Metro, no, with TransLink, with Mayor's
TransLink.
Council.
Yeah.
If there's any money available through TransLink,
Oh, I
Yes.
remember the parking tax.
Parking tax at the
Parking
CN
tax,
lot.
yes, that's
Yeah.
right, on the
That-
city lot.
that's
We were
exactly
looking
right.
for funding from thinking that a possible funding source would be Metro or TransLink.
Right.
Yeah, that's right.
I haven't done it, and I will, because the CN lot, we'll talk about it a little later. Okay, good.
That was one of the excuses that was used when that parking tax was brought in. that they would be able to fund certain things in certain areas.
There is actually also another, no, that's a CN thing. They will do beautification adjacent to their tracks, including our beach park, and the grant is not insubstantial. It's 15K or something. We'll have to look at that once the dust is settled. Mandy was looking at that. Okay, so we'll move on to that one. The mayor dropped the ball 3 times in a row. Public works staff to research sanitation of the Lions Bay beach washrooms and report back. You ready for that?
Yes. So I believe this is in, so my apologies because I wasn't at the last meeting, but I believe this was in response to a written request from a resident. So there's a couple of things here. So environmental. So there's sort of 3 things involved here. There's a potential structural concern. There's environmental concerns. There's habitat issues, and the letter itself stated unsanitary, which has a specific connotation, which I'll get into in a bit. So, in fact, maybe I'll start with that. So, insofar as unsanitary is concerned, it doesn't meet the definition of that word. So, it does have a municipal septic system in place, which is working. It is connected to running water, and that running water is actually potable. It is ventilated, it's cleaned on a schedule, and the garbage receptacles are cleaned on a schedule. So just by that, it's not unsanitary.
Yeah.
It doesn't harbor diseases, it doesn't fit into that definition. I think what they're trying to say is it's ugly, it seems decrepit, and that type of thing. I think they're using sanitary as an adjective, not as a defining term.
I'm sure they didn't go to the municipal handbook to look up accepted use. Yeah.
Right, but it's a driver. So unsanitary conditions are a driver under WorkSafe BC. They're a driver under code. It's, that word is a driver. All I'm saying is that it doesn't meet the standards associated with that driver. Having said that, yes, they're rustic. Yes, they are aesthetically displeasing. No two ways about it. Insofar as environmental, there has been a hazard assessment done. There's no asbestos because, surprise, it's wood. But almost all of the outside surfaces are lead, and highly concentrated lead.
Lead paint.
Yep. And so that brings a whole new realm to for demolition, because we'll have to deal with WorkSafe BC on demolition. And you have to manually demolish it, and there's a whole bunch of safe work procedures that get associated with the demolition of an existing building with considerable levels of lead paint. So you have to supply appropriate notification to WorkSafe BC. You have to use specific PPE associated with that. There's just a whole whack of rules. The big one that will add, in my experience, a fair bit of expenditure to just demolishing it is air monitoring. It's mandatory, and we would need to do it.
Do you have to tent it?
I'm not sure for completely outdoor, probably. I would have to actually really look into it. At this point, I just sort of skimmed it because I just listened to all of this meeting this morning, so I would have to bring forward an actual report.
Yeah.
But insofar as the environmental concerns off the top of my head, it's lead-based paint.
You know this?
Yeah.
Somebody's told us
Absolutely,
this.
yes. We've had let me find out who wrote this report. Sure Hazmat and testing back in April of 2014. That building was tested for asbestos and lead, as were a number of other facilities in the village. So yes, and it tested high, quite high. So for example, the green paint on the siding, which is, the whole building is green on the outside, the lead concentration was 18,000 units.
Parts per million.
Units per gallon or something, yeah. It's not ppm though, it's the other one. And the HPA standard is 90, so we're out by an enormous factor. Which is probably why it
Maybe it's
stayed
not
on
cheating
quite
after all.
so nicely.
Yeah. It's still green.
Exactly. So there are some environmental hazardous material considerations that will need to be considered. Insofar as habitat issues, it definitely was harboring carpenter ants. Those have been dealt with. There is no indication that it's harboring rodents or any other thing. It's mainly the carpenter ant situation.
One thing to be thankful for.
There you go. There
With
you
lead,
go.
lead paint, the carpenter ants would just fall asleep and die.
They're quite
surprised.
strong carpenter ants, actually.
Yeah,
These are lead
So-
tolerant ones.
that's right. That's maybe why we
I
don't
always
have
thought
the
it was the
most
lights
problem.
on that were there at night.
Structurally, there's definitely some rotten siding boards. Other than that, it is. I would not deem it unsafe. I think it's still fairly structurally sound. It's just aesthetically displeasing and needs renovation or replacement. I'm definitely not arguing that point. So I am uncertain if you want me to expend anything, like if you want me to get somebody to do an actual structural assessment. I'm not an engineer, I'll say that right now. My crews don't believe it's structurally unsafe, but I can definitely get somebody in to do a complete review of that. That's not an issue. I don't think we need to do an environmental one because we've already got one and it's within a year. And habitat, we know that, I don't think we would need to get an expert in to tell us what we already know there. So I guess the remaining action item is whether council would like a structural review of the washroom building.
Yeah, well, so that can be answered by my report on the second action item there, which is I did have the discussion with the resident, not knowing any of this information, saying this information was coming.
Mhm.
The bottom line is, do we demolish and start again, or do we renovate? And so I don't think we know that.
Nope.
We wouldn't necessarily even know that even if we got a structural opinion.
You'd have to know the scope and design first.
Well, I mean, they would change their design based on whether they can
Yeah.
use the structure or not.
And the tipping point may simply be monetary. I don't know how much it would cost to demolish this building.
It's a concern, if it's valid. It's a very a big concern because it's a very public building. Okay, people like it, they use it. So the reality is, if we've got, first of all, do we know what structurally sound? We have a building inspector. He could have a look at it and give us an idea,
Yep.
very simply. That would be the best, most cost-effective way to deal with that. If it's got lead-based paint on it, either we can encapsulate lead-based paint, or we have to figure out some other solution. That's pretty damning, lead-based paint. If it's the old stuff, it really is,
Yep.
and it's not nice stuff. So that's the only thing. I think you can encapsulate it, but I'm not a person
There's
that
a
knows
lot
that
of
kind
parameters.
stuff.
The only reason that I'm bringing it up to flag for council is I did a lot of work with that on the Ladner Leisure Center on behalf of the Corporation of Delta, and it added up fast.
The
Both
remediation
asbestos
or the
and-
demolition?
Both, because you had to go under work safe rules, and they're very, very strict, and they will come down and watch you set it up.
Yeah, that's almost one that I think you can buy into. You don't want lead-based paint detritus where kids are digging
Nope.
in the dirt.
You don't.
Well, what I would suggest we then do is we do get an opinion on the structural soundness. It's essentially, can it be fixed or must it be demolished? And that's sort of a slight chicken and egg situation in terms of economics and in terms of the feasibility of encapsulation, all that stuff. But can we get Dave to look at it? Can you write a half-page report that I can then take to this resident-based committee who are prepared, I'll remind us all, to fund an open bid project once, including design and scope, so that they can then decide what they want to do. I also raised the point that, we're sort of beyond the point of no return now. It's in use, it's summer, do you want to close the beach for a week? And especially if there's a lead-based issue, we will have to close the beach for a week, I presume. The
At a
whole
minimum.
beach? Or
No, you would
No,
you would encapsulate,
you would encapsulate
it, but you will not have a bathroom at the beach, which would be
Is the lead-based paint inside or just outside?
all outside.
All outside? Then it can be.
Actually, hold on, let me just make sure of that.
I'd imagine.
Nope, it's inside too.
I would,
Okay,
I
if
would
it's
think so,
inside,
yeah.
then you're hooped.
It's that vintage, so they'd be using the paint available.
Yeah.
Though the lead concentration on the inside is, actually meets the standard. So it's exterior, it's the green paint, exterior, it's the white paint, which is trim, and exterior gray paint.
Let's get a half-page report from the building inspector on the future of the building, and I'll take it from there.
So the question, now that we know there's lead-based paint, do we not need to address that?
Well, no, it becomes an issue when you try to demolish or you try to
So
alter.
if we leave it alone, then we don't.
You can't repair it.
No, lead-based paint is a problem. If somebody has a wet hand and they touch it, it's a problem.
Well, they will have wet hands.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm saying, it is a problem.
So it's not
It will-
cool anyway.
It's not, unless, if the lead is, like a lead-based paint is, the lead is immersed in a paint product of some sort to keep it there. If the lead is on the surface and you get it on, it can be absorbed through the skin. That's what the problem is with lead. It's not like asbestos. Asbestos is totally different. If you can seal asbestos and hide it, it's fine. It doesn't get in the air. Lead doesn't have to get in the air. Water can run off it, can get into the ground. And
Okay, so the report did go on to say that the presence of lead-based paint finishes does not pose an immediate hazard to building occupants when present in good condition and left undisturbed.
What about kids running by outside, running their hands along it after they just had a cold water shower?
I can go back and ask that question. I
Yeah.
do know that there was little, like, inside the Delta project, I mean, it's a ice rink. Kids were touching, like you know how kids run around pylons and stuff like that. They were touching it.
quite a bit of different kind of building, a much larger building.
Understood.
But
I
if
can
the
look
paint
into that.
If the paint is peeling, which it doesn't usually do,
Yeah.
if the paint is peeling and falling off, it's a problem.
Oh, if it's falling off, peeling or then we would have to clean that up following lead safe work procedures.
Probably a good chance that you can encapsulate it.
Well, let's get an opinion from Dave. And the
Yep.
question is, I'll recognize you in a second. Get an opinion from Dave on whether the building should be repaired or replaced. And that's as much an expertise and an opinion, but we'll
His,
go with that.
his opinion is valuable, and it would go a long ways
Yeah.
to solve.
So we're not going to decide when,
Yeah.
we're just going to decide if.
Okay.
I was just going to say that Dave is only responsible for residential things, not municipal buildings, so I'm not sure if it would fall in his purview to do inspection of a municipal building.
My only comment to that is that the difference between residential and municipal is municipal stuff is usually run by engineers, okay? And so the reality is Dave is the building inspector under the National Building Code. He would know if the building structure is sound. That was the point.
Yeah, it's more part of his
It's
overall.
part of his
But I mean,
area
he
of
certainly
expertise.
inspected the hall,
Yes.
Yeah.
so I'd be.
Only for the building permit portion of it.
Hmm.
I'm not sure, and I don't know how much of a review would be, I'm just saying I'm not sure if it's an issue or not.
Well,
I appreciate any recommendation from Dave.
exactly. I mean, yeah. I mean, I'm sure Dave's willing to do it. That's not the issue. You know, it's not legally binding. It's his professional opinion. Unless Nikki, you tell us different, and that we should get a beach washroom specialist building inspector.
I will broach the
Yeah,
half-page
mull it over.
report with Dave Butler, and we'll move forward from there.
Yeah, good. Let's leave it at that.
And in the meantime, I will ask the Sure Hazmat crew whether or not touching with wet hands, as long as it's not an issue, whether it's an issue or not, as long as the paint isn't peeling.
I hope to never talk about lead-based paint as much ever again in my life. But that's forewarned is forearmed, so that's good. Okay. Shall we move on? Yes, let's move on. To C, I have drafted the text. It was superseded by events, I guess, based on various things. We will put it in fact, I'm going to run it by council first, the text, and then we'll put it in the Weekly Village News. Because it's part of a larger project. Signage, everything, which is all somewhat part of the IMP's recommendations. So, I will do that, run text by council. Is that a new action item? Sub-action item? I'll let you worry about that. These things can start nesting. Okay, so that's it. Everybody happy?
I just had one more to add. Just underneath that one, was it D12D, Bear Smart? I think, was there a mention that you were gonna check to see if you appointing yourself as a committee meets Bear Smart requirements?
Yes, thank you for reminding me. No, I haven't done that.
I think you were just gonna confirm.
I was just going to check with Norma, yeah. Thank you for that.
Actually, I haven't asked it for Thursday, I can ask.
Maybe? Yeah, I saw it yesterday. Did you get that, Joanna?
Yeah.
That Waterson and Burr will check one way or the other whether that meets Bear Smart requirements. Because they require, just to remind us all, they require a committee of the village. It's a very efficient committee. Okay, all good?
Yeah.
Good, so we'll move on to unfinished business. KPI discussion. So we had deferred this from last meeting, and the idea here was to come up with some council suggestions on easy to produce KPIs that can be published on the website and in the future in the annual report to provide a measure of the performance of the village. So I have some. Would you like to hear them? Public work tickets, job tickets.
So, sorry, do you mean CSRs, like the customer service requests?
Yeah.
Okay.
I wouldn't even bother writing these down yet.
Okay.
This is just for seeding the discussion, because we're not going to finish the discussion tonight.
Okay.
Front desk requests,
Service requests?
yeah, I mean calls. Just like we get a police report, in various classifications, fairly broad.
Live and telephonic.
Exactly. Well, even that breakdown is probably enough to start with. Web hits on various pages. The wastewater treatment plant output, because that's a good measure of water consumption as well, at least in Kelvin Grove. Hall utilization between 8 and 8, or between 8 and midnight, or something. So we know how much we're utilizing our asset, and asset utilization, major assets. I don't know what they would be. Trucks. The idea is to show residents how our money is being spent, money and time, which is the same thing. Anybody else? You look skeptical.
I was just thinking about the sewage treatment plant, and the way it sounded like you want to measure the amount of water coming out of it, and you don't. You want to measure the amount of stuff that's being treated by it. So
that's very hard to measure. Other
yeah,
than
well,
pump out.
it is. But the thing, the reality is that's your KPI. What the treatment plant is actually not putting out, but what it's actually stopping from being put out.
Yeah, sure.
Okay,
We
so
could
I
certainly
just don't know
measure
how
the
to
tonnage we take out of that,
Yeah.
but recognize that the water that leaves the sewage treatment plant,
Yeah.
that's the water that's consumed, less leakage, and less gardens and less swimming pools. So it's a very good way of measuring, especially in the winter, water consumption in Kelvin Grove.
Okay.
But yeah. These things are supposed to be easy. I don't want them to be any extra work in gathering. Maybe there'll be a little work in reporting them. So I'm not suggesting that we finalize this today, but I mean these things are things that can be added piecemeal to. I'll just point out we already have our first one on the website, and that's the water production. And I don't know how many people are looking at it. We need the web hits stat to tell us how many people are looking at it. But I do get comments. At least some people are looking at it. Right now, our water consumption is unchanging. That's up and down a little bit, but it's certainly not trending downwards, which is what we need to be showing.
Oh, I think it's a great idea. I'm merely
I mean, just
cautioning
to
what we
touch on that
measure, that's
KPI.
all. Yeah.
We're still consuming in round numbers 900 1,000 liters per capita per day on sort of a nominal population estimate. That was in the non-watering, non-swimming pool filling months, weeks. As Nikki intimated by sign language, it is actually trending
It's
up.
creeping up.
Yeah.
It is creeping up with
As
the
you
warm
would
weather.
expect in summer.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, that's not good because we actually wanted to trend down. We don't know how much water we have in terms of snow, and that's our only water because, as we think we know, rain events run through within 36 hours. So these are all KPIs that are useful, easy to gather, or they're already being gathered. It's just a case of republishing them in a new. So we've got our first KPI, and I look at it every day, and then I rave. Still 1,000.
Could we also, similar to the other feedback, resident feedback, could we also put it out there to see what residents are interested in? How they
Absolutely.
would think, what's important to them.
Yeah, without promising that it can be done, of course.
Maybe there's something that really resonates.
Number of bees flying through the village, can't do it.
Because for me, it was like the numbers of birth. How many babies are being born? The more, the better. Can we put that a little ticker, a ticking?
Yeah.
No,
That may be a privacy issue.
a little ticking
I think
thing.
the number will be 0.
Be tagging.
Well,
Yeah. Okay, so unless we have any more specifics, we're going to move on. I'm going to call for finals, and then we're going to produce a list, and then staff, unfortunately, will be the ones tasked with producing it. That won't be happening in any kind of hurry, given added demands. But
Haven't we already sent you our list?
well, I didn't receive any.
No, I sent you.
You did.
Okay.
Okay. Also deferred from last meeting was the updated council priority list. This has taken on an added level of importance because, as you will have seen in your package, it is published in the annual report. So we better get it right pretty quick. I'm not proposing, unless somebody says different, that we finalise a date. It does need to be adopted by resolution, otherwise it's just a meaningless document. Unless you tell me that the document that you will see, if we just quickly whip through to...
I think you're going into uncharted territory.
Yeah,
here.
you're right.
Yeah.
It's not published yet.
I would agree.
And my ask is that you not go where you're going.
Fine.
Yeah.
So, I did send my final around, asking for truly final comments. This is about the last chance, plus minus one, to make any final changes, and then Helen gave me quite a lot of stuff. Ron said he was okay, so we're going to publish it end of the week.
But we're going to review it later, right?
No,
As part of the annual report?
no,
No?
no. This is the document. We need the document. It's high time, unless I'm misunderstanding.
No, because it's part of the annual report. And are we not reviewing the annual report as well?
Only enclosed.
Yeah. So,
It's not ready yet, and it doesn't belong in the 2014 annual report. It's the 2015 annual report.
Actually, if you grant some forbearance on this, Mayor, I think everybody will get what they want by the end of the night.
Very good. I'm with you there. Good. Okay. Lions Bay Beach update.
I think we've already done that.
We've done that. Thank you. That was overtaken
Taken
by
care of
events.
in the meeting,
Yeah.
the other.
Volunteer Day. I've been tasked with this by
yourself.
by Mandy, saying that that was in my court, and it is. The issue here is we have to decide just how much effort we want to put into this beyond the normal cutting back of the brambles and raking of the paths. I'm going to do a poll to see what level of buy-in there would be to actually do something big before we arrange it. Because I had originally thought of 50, 60, 70, 80 volunteers doing some pretty heavy labour, chopping trees, chipping wildfire hazard and so on. If we're not going to get it, we're not going to arrange it. So I'm going to take a straw poll of the village. I don't exactly know how. I'm suggesting SurveyMonkey to be sent out through the e-post. In the weekly update, I think, actually. Would you participate in a 6-hour village update with a chainsaw? Everybody good on that one? So that's what I'm going to do there. The chair will recognize Mr. Wilkie if he has something to say.
Oh, yeah, I was waiting till the end of the meeting. I was only gonna talk about half pipe on Ocean View. Piece of chalk line or something, snap it against the pipe and get one of those sawzalls and just cut it straight down along that chalk line. take that top half off and you've got just an open culvert.
I am uncertain as to the structure, what that would do to the
Yeah, just so whether the walls
structural
would-
integrity of
The
the
pipe is
HDPE
corrugated,
pipe.
it's self-reinforced.
Only when it's intact, all the way around. If you cut it in half, it's not.
Well, let's look at that.
Yeah.
You got a section up on top of by the water tower, on the way to the water tower.
Let's
You
try
can
it.
always take a
I'll have a look at
Do an
it.
experiment.
chunk off.
It may be this the lateral integrity, but
I think the ditch is already molded.
yeah, possibly. Yeah, that's a worthwhile idea. Well, we'll take a look at that.
It's worthwhile looking at.
You got it,
Yeah.
Nick? Fantastic. Fitness Day Challenge.
Yes, that's happening this Saturday, and I expect it starts at noon. So the challenge, there actually will be two separate challenges. One will be the trail run, and one will be a yoga challenge, hosted by Ian Grant. So it'll be great if all council members can come.
Bring your mats.
No, we don't need a mat.
Oh.
We're just gonna do it on the grass.
By the way, I don't know if anybody's seen the grass. After the last cutting, you did one notch lower this time.
Mhm.
It looks like a bowling green.
So
Fantastic.
perfect for yoga.
I went out of my way to look at the grass. I could hardly recognize it. I do recognize weeds. I didn't see any.
Well, you didn't look closely enough, but
From where
yes,
I was,
it is
looked
looking 3 times better than it looked
at.
before.
That's great.
Yeah,
By-
it looks like a playing field.
By magnitude, yes.
Okay, so John Weston is coming.
Yes.
He's going to run the trail, right?
No, he's just, I think there's just enough time for him to do a bit of a stretch with us. Is he running? I don't know.
No, I
I think
don't
he
think he
wasn't
is.
running the trail.
Because he normally does, but he was out of time this time. Okay, sounds good.
Yeah.
Noon to 3, approx.
Yes.
Fantastic. Thanks, Helen. Yours is the next one as well, photo contest?
Yes, and the photo contest, we had the judging and exhibition last Saturday. It was a phenomenal success. About 147 residents came out to vote, and we have the winners. So those are being notified now, and we're hoping, the plan is to present the prizes after the Lions Bay Fitness Day Challenge. So we figured there's going to be lots of people there anyway, so that would be a good opportunity to, do a bit of photo snapping for the photographers. Yeah, so.
Congratulations. That was run pretty much single-handed by you, and it was
And
superb.
a team, actually,
Even though my photo didn't even make the cut.
There
And
was
the
quite a
team-
bit of interest in it. That was the key.
It was
Yeah.
interest from age. We had the youngest photographer was 7, and the oldest one was 70. And even voting yesterday, the youngest voter was 3,
Wow.
and the oldest one was 70. The same 70.
Same one?
Yeah. That's good.
That's good. I think that's an annual
Yeah.
opportunity.
And then we'll have fabulous photos for our annual report. Yay.
And the quality was surprisingly
Yeah,
good.
it's pretty
Really, really very good.
Mhm.
Yeah, I mean, this is, I hardly need to point out, this is as much a community building exercise as a photo competition, and I think it succeeded in that admirably. Should we do anything official from council to thank the sponsors who did contribute $1,000 worth of prizes?
I think if maybe you write a
Write a
letter.
letter?
Yeah, that's good.
Can you do that, Sean? Action item, Mayor to write a thank you letter to photo contest sponsors. Okay, thanks. So we'll move on to reports. We've rejiggered things, so we'll go straight to the Manager of Public Works report on page 19 of the paper.
Okay, so for the information report, key activities for the month of May included liaising with EFO for proposed upcoming projects, and reports as to the outcome of that liaising will be written for the next council meeting. Sourcing further information for the PEP-funded emergency works at Magnesia, because we do still have some work outstanding, and I believe CFO Rook is going to talk about how the funding is playing out at the moment for that. Undertaking the tender process for the infrastructure master plan, including issuing addenda for questions asked and answers given, and we also hosted an information session for potential respondents.
Sorry, where are you? Oh, there, okay,
Sorry,
I got it. So
yeah.
I'm with you. Yeah.
We planned and hosted an infrastructure tour for MLA Sturdy and a public works tour for the village preschool. And we were researching the information that was given earlier with regard to the aesthetics of the drainage culvert on Ocean View Road, which has got some, it's been spoken about, shall we say. Insofar as my punch list, June 11 is the closing date for the RFP. The meeting took place that I just indicated on May 21st. With regard to phase 3.
Which meeting was that?
The meeting that the infrastructure committee wanted to have take place with regard to, it wasn't mandatory, but interested.
Oh, with the bidders?
Bidders
Who
could come
came?
and talk.
Did people come?
Yes, we had 6 people come.
Six proponents.
6 people came from 4 proponents.
And who was running it from our side?
I was.
Nobody else? Nobody from the infrastructure committee was there?
No.
Okay.
Nobody,
Yeah.
everybody knew when the meeting was, so I didn't
Yeah,
see anybody
I
there.
completely spaced on that one.
So, yep, it was pretty straightforward.
And
Any questions that were asked that should have gone, that needed to go to the larger group, because of course it wasn't a mandatory site meeting, were placed as an addendum on BC Bid as part of a questions and answers addendum. So,
do you have any sense of what sort of response we're going to get?
I do not. We haven't had any questions this week at all. We had a few questions that came out of the meeting on May 21st, and I had one of the potential proponents email me with some questions. That again got rolled into the addenda, but I haven't had to issue a second addenda yet with regard to questions and answers, so it's hard to tell. So we'll see what happens come June 11th.
That's imminent.
So with regard to phase 3 works for magnesia intake, and this is still the PEP funding stuff, we need to make sure that the environmental window for working in the creek isn't lost, otherwise we've got a problem. So I've got a tentative meeting set up this upcoming Friday with the engineering firm. So that's moving ahead. With regard to, we've touched base on the tree report. I'm still waiting for the final report on the number of trees they took down. And I will have a report written with regard to the tree assessments that were done.
Yeah, because
as well.
I need that in order to respond to
Yes, you do.
the resident. So
Yes.
yeah, that's what sort of timing are we talking about?
I was supposed to have it today.
Oh, okay. Okay,
And,
so it's imminent.
yeah,
Okay.
so I've got a call in for him because he was going to get it done today and I haven't seen it.
Okay, thanks.
We are still working on a plan, a follow-up procedure and protocols that was formerly in conjunction with former CAO Kuntz. I just have a lawyer-based question with regard to our bylaw number 2 that needs to be sorted out, and then we can move on to next steps with regard to, there are a number of residences that have gone above, like just above and beyond trying to find their water service connection, and they still can't find it. So we need to make a decision as to what we do next. So that's imminent. Liaising with DFO. So we put forward 2 projects.
Sorry,
review.
I missed where you are now.
Oh, sorry. I'm just going through the punch list. So
How many down?
that's a good question because my thing doesn't say.
How about date?
8th of April 15 is when I started. 2015, 8th of April, along the side.
On page
Second
21.
page.
21.
Yeah, page
Oh,
21.
okay, so can we go back to one that I did have, that I was waiting to get to this?
Oh, okay, sure.
The one that starts with work with geoscientist wants 3 to 4 months of quantifiable data.
Yes, I
That
just
one?
haven't had a chance to do that yet.
Okay, no, that's fine. it was the second sentence. I couldn't work out how that related to the previous sentence. Is that not a separate task? The thing that has to do with the Phase 4-5 road?
Oh, that came up, so I can actually take that out of that's just an oversight on my part. So,
That was to do with opening up the Alberta intake, right?
correct, because I got asked to look into the feasibility of that.
Yeah.
And if that had been feasible, I would have had to get the geoscientist to assess
okay. That was the thought process.
the upslope. So there was no point in engaging him to do one thing if I couldn't engage him to do both.
Yeah. Okay.
So,
fine,
and of course that's not feasible, so I can take that directly out, so it's not
Council's aware of
confusing
that, right? Why the Alberta intake reopening is not feasible to us. The point is that Coastal Health will only contemplate that if we have exhausted all other options for water sourcing,
including tankering.
including tankering, and that only when the water has stopped flowing. So it's kind of a chicken and egg
Is it the
situation.
number of tankers?
Well, the point is, why would we want to reopen Alberta if it wasn't flowing? So
And the
Thanks for
infrastructure, the remaining infrastructure that is at Alberta Creek is non-existent, for lack of a better word. So we would have to put some considerable money
Could have
into
to
it.
some
And
money to it.
VCH would definitely not be in support of the project unless we've had both primary and secondary chlorination, and it was actually
as a long-term
going
project,
to be
no, it would
potable.
only ever worked as an emergency.
So,
But they'll only contemplate it if it stopped flowing. So.
yes, so,
That was conditional at the time, if the fact was, it was understood that there was still infrastructure in place there of some sort.
Yeah,
Even-
there
And it's not worth even, okay,
No.
that's fine.
no.
That makes sense.
So I will remove that sentence
Yeah, okay, good.
because
That
it
makes
is
sense, yeah.
confusing.
Okay, got it.
Okay.
Thank you.
So, did you have any other things up to the DFO that I was about to?
And yeah, I'm just trying to understand. Oh, something we'll return to from later. Yeah, thank you.
Okay. All right, so Department of Fisheries and Oceans. As you'll recall, I put forward 2 project reviews. One was for the retaining wall, and one was for the rock removal. I have gotten just this afternoon. We had a bunch of, they had some questions with regard to both of the projects. The seawall repair is really quite straightforward. So they've asked some questions and I've answered them. So we have authorization to be able to do the mitigation work on the retaining wall.
Great.
So that's really good news. We cannot contemplate starting the project until after August 16th,
Because?
fishery window. So it's written into the serious harm to fish can be avoided and mitigated, and part of that was based on the fact that we would agree to not embark on the project until the fishery window was complete, and that is August 16th. So that's the earliest work can start.
I'm not going to ask which fishery, but yeah, okay.
Species at Risk Act.
Even though it's above the high water mark?
Some of it is, but we would have to have machinery go in,
Yeah,
and
touching
it would
this,
be
yeah.
within the
Does
that
it have
boundary.
to be special fluid machinery or is that conventional machinery?
In order to ensure that it went through, I told them it would be bio. Because they were asking for assurances
So
that
to
any
grout a beach
machinery.
wall, we're looking at a $25,000 project.
Not necessarily, no. But we want the work to be done and we wanted it to be signed off by fisheries. So it indicated bio.
Yeah, well, I'm just curious about that, because if we're talking about repairing the beach wall, the machinery part of it, in my estimation, is negligible, because a lot of that work can be done manually if it has to be, quite easily, and with picks and shovels, wheelbarrows. Okay,
So-
and that may be a good
Right. So
volunteer.
I think that insofar as talking to the DFO, I'm basically just saying, hey, we've got authorization to move ahead. Regardless of whether we have machinery or not, we still can't do it before August
Oh, no,
16th.
I would agree
So
with that.
I would suggest that we talk offline about how best to actually do the project operationally. But, yeah, and we can have that
There's
discussion at a
no
later time.
risk of the wall collapsing now that it's being sat on and used.
According to the report that was put forward by the Infrastructure Committee, no.
Okay, that's fine then.
The other project, however, has considerable asks for additional information for Department of Fisheries, and those asks will require a qualified environmental professional. So I will bring forward a report with regard to the questions and what would be involved for the rock removal.
This is just to remind you, picking out some pieces of concrete from
Correct. So,
the beach.
yeah. And I will encapsulate everything into a report to council that, for DFO. So just to close that loop.
Thank you.
Yep. So, council received, an initial feasibility study with regard to Ocean View Tank to address concerns with fire coverage / water supply this summer. What is outstanding from that is a costing analysis. So you've got the feasibility. The feasibility said, yeah, we could do this. We would have to put some things in place to ensure that that if we were going to use repurpose and refurbish the lower Ocean View tank for fire supply only, it would have to be definitely removed from the system itself, which is not too onerous. But
Is it not? There is a bypass there.
what we would put one in.
We would have to put one
We would
in.
isolate, so the tank, we can isolate the tank fairly simply. We would then install a hydrant on the other side of the gate so that there can be no confusion with regard to pulling it into the system. And yeah, we can use it, but it would not be potable water. And it
Yeah, so
cannot
just to-
enter our system.
Just to interject for council's information, thinking through this with the fire chief the other day, there will come a point, if the water stops flowing from above, that we will have to shut off the water network in order to maintain our fire reserve. We know that our tanks are relatively watertight. The leak rate is about 1 or 2%. The Ocean View tank would be our sort of our last standby, because we would treat it as a never again in the future potable water tank. So it would be bitumen, for example, or some sort of non-compatible, never again potable lining. Don't exactly know. That's part of the feasibility costing. The issue is that we will not be able to, if there is a fire, then power up the water network, because it will be non-potable water. People won't know that. They will have their tap on. They'll open the tap. Water will start coming out because we've now started fire flow. That may have been sitting in the tank for weeks. It's not going to be treated. We can't do that, which means that they are going to have to come and fetch water from the tanks, not through the hydrants.
They would, no, so what they would, yes. Let me back up. So with regard to Ocean View tank itself, we would install a hydrant that was only connected to Ocean View tank. That's it. It would have its own separate hydrant.
On the tank. The issue why on
Downstream
the
from the
tank,
tank,
Well,
yes.
right
Downstream
Because
from the tank.
you can't drive a fire truck up that road. It's too big and heavy.
No,
So
it would
you'd
just
have
be on
to
the
have-
other side of the gate.
You'd have to get a little, but that's now we're talking about cost. Fairly long pipe, isn't it? It's at least 100 meters.
No, there's, I will write a report that,
Okay,
that
wait
outlines
for
it
the
all
report. Yeah.
succinctly, but it's a fairly straightforward process to install a hydrant at the point of which it would not enter our system. So basically, for lack of a better way of putting it, that hydrant is the end of the run.
Yeah.
And the run starts upstream at the tank. It's not a great distance.
Now, is there today a protocol existing that we dictate we will never let the tank, the other tanks, the main Harvey tank and the mag tank, when it reaches X percent, I don't know what the number is, 55%, everything below that is fire reserve, and we have to shut off the network?
I
Do we
think
have
I think that will come through the infrastructure committee with regard to Grieg's model.
Yeah.
And I think that's a conversation that we should probably have with the infrastructure committee, and we can bring that forward to council.
Yeah. So there'll come a point where we're not strictly out of water, but there's no water in the network. Assuming, again, that there's no water from above, which we just don't know.
Yeah.
Okay, so there's wheels within wheels here, but okay, good. It
Yes.
sounds like we're taking care of the first wheel anyway.
Right underneath that, Investigate data logger pricing and availability for the plants. The infrastructure committee review is complete. A report from the infrastructure committee to council will be written regarding next steps. So Greg will report back to the infrastructure committee next week, and the infrastructure committee will then write a report to council with regard to next steps.
Can you give us a little preview?
It'll be SCADA related.
Okay, so that was going to be the SCADA that I was going to touch on from my notes. The one that is 1, 2, 3, 4th from the bottom on the first page, page 20 of 138. Essentially, the SCADA needs, to my mind, and council would have to opine on this, falls within the water contingency budget that we allocated of 60,000. Whatever SCADA we need to maintain our water system, especially in these trying times, there's budget for it. So the fact that the $40,000 SCADA budget, specific SCADA budget for normal operations, was taken care of. So this particular SCADA will certainly be covered under water contingency. We have to have it in order to set the conservation levels, because the conservation levels, just to remind everybody, are based on replenishment rate of the tanks.
Yeah. So I would have to defer to CFO Rook with regard to how that process would have to carry out, because it was removed.
It was reduced down to 12,500 for
Yeah.
SCADA, and then there was the 60,000 for the water contingency.
Yeah, we never really
So-
defined what water contingency was. So, we can be fairly broad on that, and council can,
You can, but I think it would then have to come to council.
it would have to, yeah.
It would come to council, not as a budget amendment, but as a resolution that this X amount of dollars in the water contingency now be devoted to SCADA.
That's a contingency, right there.
So
I'm gonna get a contingency rubber stamp made.
Only if you use it.
SCADA is very, very, very important to the village.
Well, it's vital now, because we have
Yeah.
to be able to say with confidence what level we're at.
That's right.
And that is gonna, well, okay, I won't get into the minutiae of the IC's deliberations, which are fascinating if you're interested in that stuff.
So how do we do it now?
Well, we're at level 1 now, and the water is flowing. I know that we have enough water because the creeks are flowing all the way to the sea.
So we just eyeball it? So we don't have SCADA, so no.
Residents can eyeball it.
yeah. No,
Well,
we
you're
know-
right.
Yeah.
We don't have it right now. That's why it's pressing.
Yeah, we have it at a specific point in time every day when we go up and to the plants and do our data runs.
We don't yet know at what hour of the night the tank fills again. We do know it does. So that's within the protocol that's been established by the RC.
So, as indicated, the infrastructure committee will bring a report back to council and we'll close the loop via the infrastructure committee.
Chair,
There-
Chair Bain,
Are there any more questions with regard to my
that's all I have.
report? You've got one?
If we can move off water to airborne material. The Kelvin Grove smell remediation. Just quick skinny on this is that came to my attention first year of my past council. There's an issue there. It was really kind of voodoo or folklore. Either the stacks were too big or too short, who knows what, but people weren't happy at certain times of the year. In 2013, the issue was recognized again in a small budget given. 2014, same thing. Work manager Hogman's predecessors didn't act on the opportunity. And so the smell, as I understand it, continues on and off. And so I believe this is an internal issue that either there is a budget for it because we tax for it, or there isn't a budget for it because it's in the reserves.
I'll have to defer to CFO Rook
If we
on that.
taxed in prior years and there isn't a budget for it, it would have flown through to reserves.
And so to get the works manager to act on it, is there money or no money?
I'm sorry, is it it?
So for the works manager to act on execution,
A request would have to be forward and the decision would
To
have
draw
to
on
be made by
reserves.
council, how to fund it, which would be to draw from reserves.
okay.
What sort of money are we talking about, Nikki?
I don't know.
What was the original budget, do you remember?
10 grand.
I think that would be
We
enough.
had a resident who is close to Metro, had their engineers who are familiar with this, I've still got their emails, I think, or they were prepared to look at. Some people just love this topic with a passion. You can
Funny
hardly.
enough, I happen to be one of them. It was actually my profession for.
That explains a lot.
Some of the gas is poisonous, you know.
There you go. Anyhow, long story short, I think for me the 10 grand is probably too much right now, but how about if I take this, we've got it on the table again because it's not going away. How about if I take this away and check my emails? Maybe there's a thrifty way that I'll wing past the works manager. If not, I can come back.
Well, yes, absolutely. I mean, if we have tax for it, it's overdue, and we need to do it. It's only correct.
Well, the works manager may not have seen the referral sources I've got, so
No, I haven't seen very much
let's
with
go
regard
with
to
it. And
this.
you've got a full plate anyway.
Yeah, it was a long time ago. I mean, how these things work essentially is stack with essentially dilute bleach being sprayed down into a catchment, so it doesn't run down into the tank and kill the bugs. So it's got a capturing system, and the off gas goes through it. Essentially kills the smell-causing bacteria that do escape the septic tank. It's relatively simple technology, but 10 grand, maybe.
Don't know. I'll take it away and we'll let staff work with it.
Okay. How egregious is the problem? Do you know? Do we get a lot of complaints?
No, not for me. It's a continual up because we've just renovated the beach there. But is it a big issue? The answer is probably no.
Okay, let's leave that there then.
Okay.
You got it? Okay, thanks, Ron.
Okay.
Okay.
Is there anything else from me that anybody needs any further clarification or comment on?
No,
Okay.
I think we've had a good discussion.
Thank you very much.
thank you very much. Public Works Manager H departed the meeting. 8:15. Thanks, Nikki. See ya. Okay, so we'll continue with this rejiggered schedule. So, finance report.
Finance report, update on disaster funding.
Remind us of the page.
It is page 17.
Okay.
So the purpose of this report, hopefully I can answer all the questions. Nikki and I were going to do this together. But the main purpose was just to give council a heads up that now that kind of the dust has settled on the Harvey Creek slide and the Magnesia Creek slide, and we've put in our PEP claims and our DFA claims, it is looking like we will have at least an $80,000 shortfall in the funding. It's not going to be 100% coverage. The Harvey Creek slide was a PEP claim, so we will get 100% of everything we submitted as long as it's approved. With the Magnesia Creek slide, it was part of PEP claim, which again will get 100%. But part of it was a DFA claim, and they only cover 80%. And they only cover costs to bring it back to the same condition. So there's an issue with the anchor bolts on the rock wall, and that was about $30,000, so that's not covered. So in all, it'll work out to about $80,000 we'll be short. So Haley's still working closely with them. We don't know, we're in contact with them. The claim is going smoothly, but there might be other things they don't cover as well. So with the anchor bolts...
The claim such as it is.
Yes.
But even if everything goes fine, because we've decided to add anchor bolts, or the engineers say we need anchor bolts, which we don't have today, or didn't have, and there's this 20% need for funding anyway.
Covered.
That number is $80,000.
It is $80,000, assuming everything else will be approved. So obviously more details will follow. The claims haven't been approved yet, but I just felt it was imperative that I let council know that there will be an $80,000 shortfall. We were anticipating 100% coverage of the costs we had submitted. So
the anchor bolts are 30, so that leaves 50,000, which means that we've actually spent 500,000 at MAG. No, 400,000 at MAG, given that it's
no.
20.
The total DFA claim was 268,000. 30,000 won't be covered, and actually 10% of engineering costs related to the anchor bolts won't be covered. That's 235,000, and 20% of that is 47,000, plus the 33 that's not covered is the 80. So. More details to follow, but I just felt I needed to get that to council's attention.
Yeah, that's not great.
No.
That's an 8% tax increase to pay for that.
Mm-hmm.
This comes out of nowhere.
Plus, as Nikki would, I know this, and Helen knows this because we went up there the other day with Jordan Sturdy, and essentially replacing it to current standard is throwing good money after bad. It needs to be changed completely, up to and including relocating, which is a massive undertaking, which will be part of the IMP. So the question is, you know, this money that is needed now to keep the thing open, and the one thing I didn't ask Nikki about was this debris net situation that she's looking at. We pretty much are going to have to, we've spent it, we are spending it.
Have we spent, so the anchor bolts are in place?
No, they're not.
No.
You saw that, you know where that dirt was there, where that pipe was sticking out? In order to have that not happen again, we're going to have to anchor bolt bigger rocks in there.
Okay, so we haven't done that yet.
We have not done it yet, no. Not the anchor bolting anyway. But the 80% stuff, the disaster recovery stuff we have, or that's underway.
It's underway.
Contracts have been let.
Well,
No, none of that
No.
work has been done yet. I believe that's the meeting that Nikki said she had on Friday, perhaps with Chris, is for the estimate that we have for the rock wall. And that's the one that we need the window to actually get it done. So the work, the work for the PEP claims, which is the response, with the response portion, which is 100%, that has been done, and all those claims are in and currently being reviewed. It's the recovery portion, which is the 260, that has not been done yet.
Okay.
I'll keep you posted, but I just
Yeah.
felt at this time, we don't have final numbers yet, but I thought we needed to know that there was a shortfall we hadn't anticipated.
Well, it's more extraordinary budget that's going to need to be reopened. It's not so much a shortfall because we didn't even know about it. Yeah. Okay, well,
A
as you
shortfall in the funding, like we're not getting, what I meant is we're not getting 100%.
yeah, but I don't think we ever
funding.
anticipated receiving that funding. This is work that needed to be done, and we
No,
have to pay for it.
In the budget, we anticipated we would get a certain amount of funding. We estimated what we thought the cost would be, but we put offsetting funding of the same amount in.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that
So
was
it was
never
a
going to be the
net zero.
case with 80% funding.
Right, but at that time, we didn't realize it was DFA and it was 80% funding. We thought it would be 100% through PEP.
Okay.
Okay,
Okay. Any more good news
that's it for now.
on that one? Okay.
CFO, can I get an electronic copy of this?
The report,
Their
yes.
report, thanks. And actually, a scan with your numbers would actually be more appreciated.
Okay. Well, I already know that Nikki will be coming up with the best approach to how to handle this. We don't have $80,000 right now, unless we draw it from reserves. We've had this discussion already. We are loath to draw $1,000 from reserves.
10% of our reserves.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, we did take Jordan Sturdy up there, and he acknowledged what he saw. I think he was somewhere between shocked and sobered. Shocked is probably too strong, but he certainly appreciated what he was looking at. You know, it's a pretty sophisticated water system. It's up in the boonies. It's difficult to maintain. Okay, thank you, Pam. We will move on to the now number B, Chief Administrative Officer, page 11 report. You going to handle this, Pam?
I
Or,
was not.
okay, no, I'm,
No,
I'm only asking, so that's fine.
You know, I basically, if there were any questions, I could, get back to council if I couldn't answer them. But Mandy met with Nikki and I on this report, and we presented a list of sort of action items, which I believe we're meeting with you tomorrow at 9 o'clock to go over.
Yeah.
So it was all covered through Nikki and I.
So some of this we know about. For example, if you look at the last item on the first page, Mayor Burt follow up on this. I already acknowledged that, so there's no surprises there. Mandy and I went through this in our Monday meeting, as well as a handover document, which is going to be forthcoming. I guess I will issue that on Mandy's behalf, because it's not this. This is her punch. This is what she was working on. The handover document is sort of advice on how to proceed. So I went through this with a fine-tooth comb. I have nothing here. It's all good. Anybody else? Okay. So we'll move on. I would, if you haven't, I would suggest that you read every word here with great attention to detail because it's all good stuff. Mayor and council. Now, as I was driving here, I was going to do this one thing under the mayor, but I forgot what it was. I knew I should have written it down. Anybody else? In the meantime, maybe we'll jog my memory. I might have to beg your indulgence if I remember it in the future. Okay, so we'll move on to the committee reports. There's only one from the Board of Variance, page 15. These are obviously public, because here they are, even though it's talking about people's...
We're just receiving.
Yeah. The only one comment I had on this particular issue was... Yeah, I didn't understand the logic here, but we won't go through at council. I'll deal with that with the Board of Variance themselves. It seems that the paragraph 4 and the last bits of paragraph 3 contradict each other, but I'll deal with that separately. Unless anybody else has anything on that, we'll move along. Hello?
So what are the minutes here for? Just for our reference?
Just for information.
Information.
Committee you just received.
And in fact, I mean, the committee is standalone. I mean, Mayor Burr is actually speaking to them at their pleasure because they could say thanks, but...
Well, they are a standing committee of council, but a funny one because they have no council members.
provincially appointed.
They made a decision. They've informed council of the decision and of the facts surrounding that decision. That's it.
Yeah, I don't believe they are provincially. Mandy looked it up, and I believe it's appointed by us.
Yeah.
And is it for a 3-year term, or how long are they?
It's a little strange. It's fine like it is. I mean, you know, these particular residents have done sterling service. But that's not the issue. I just didn't understand their recommendation.
The issue is clear when you read the document of why they made what the decision was they made, and so their decision is their decision. That's it.
So
Yeah.
if it were not clear, there's still nothing we could do about it, right?
If there was a flaw in logic, which I want to find out about, but I'll talk to, well, Rish actually, because he's the chair, and understand how the logic flows here.
Okay.
It's more just for my own satisfaction than anything.
My neighbor is on this committee, and I've sort of heard from him what, so I sort of understand what the decision was and how it worked. That's all.
To critique their minutes, I see that they don't go by majority or by unanimous. It's just decision of.
That's another thing I wanted
It's
to
what
find
you call
out.
a unanimous decision.
Well, and I observed on a prior one where it was a split vote.
Yeah, I don't know if there's anything to be tightened up here in light of our new council procedures understanding. I just don't know, so I'll find out.
Well, the only thing you could do is put terms of reference in place for the committee and put that piece in there about how they make decisions, which would be logical, I suppose, if it gets to be problematic.
Yeah, I mean, this is one of the oldest standing bodies in the village. It
Yeah.
probably predates council. It was probably when we were a water district. that
For the
we
most
were-
part, they make good decisions. So,
Okay,
Why
so
not?
we'll accept that for information purposes and move on to resolutions. Shauna, there were no resolutions, but there were bylaws. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, so resolutions is null. Thank you. So bylaws. The first one that we have in the contemplation is the adoption of the. Still don't know if this name is right, but I'll take your word for it. Bylaw Enforcement Amendment Bylaw. Bylaw Enforcement Amendment. See, I don't think that's right, but
bylaw,
checked.
notice enforcement bylaw.
By the notice enforcement bylaw.
well, okay.
It's bylaw enforcement amendment, and then it's bylaw number 482.
Yeah. Okay, so this has gone through 3 readings. There's no further debate. It's adoption or not. So I'll ask for a motion for adoption. Thank you. And a second. Further discussion? There being none, call the question. All in favour of adoption of bylaw number 492 of 2015? And opposed? There being none, carries unanimously. Official Community Plan Amendment Bylaw number 493, first and second reading, page 35. The backstory on this one, as I'm sure you remember, but I'll remind you anyway, was that we were required by Metro Vancouver to produce a new regional context statement. We weren't ready to do our own full whack on the OCP, so we did what they call a, not a come-along statement. So it's in here somewhere. I wrote it, so I can't remember. As I was rereading this, I saw a lot of things that I want to fix to better reflect, in some cases, good grammar, in other cases, the current OCP. But that can all be handled by doing first and second reading today. Between second and third reading, we are also required to have a public hearing, because it is part of the OCP.
Yes.
But so this is really to move the process along. If you don't want to do second reading, we can do first, just to bring it on table. What's your pleasure? Yeah, I think so. There's also a deadline on this.
Yeah, we hope to have it completely adopted in September. So there is the public hearing. So I think the plan, like you say, was to first and second reading, and there could be changes. I've just briefly read it, but there were a few changes I had as well.
Plenty,
So
yeah. I've got more edits than you.
I only read the first page.
Okay.
And I have some as well.
Okay, good.
should
So
we
there's some work to be done.
Sit down together? or how
Yeah,
should
yeah.
this
Maybe
work?
we'll just, in fact, yeah. Let's just, unless you guys have any particular things, send them through me. I'll represent them, and can we three sit down and talk about this?
Yes.
Okay, good. Okay, so I'll ask for a motion on first and second reading of the regional context statement. It's got a special name. Work towards statement. Thank you.
Yeah.
To the future OCP, which is currently slated for 2016. So I'm looking for a motion and a second. Thanks. And any further discussion? So I'll call the question on the first and second reading of the regional context statement amendment to the current OCP. All in favour? And opposed? Seeing none, that carries unanimously. And we'll move on to Council Procedures Bylaw, third reading. Before I ask for a motion on this one, I would like to propose for Council's consideration that we table this until such time as we have a new CAO in place who may want to add or subtract or add their own stamp to this one. After third reading, there are no further changes. The next step is adoption. I'm happy with it as it stands, but I wouldn't mind the new CAO having a look at it. That's my
I
proposition.
think that's good thinking. There's no rush for us,
There's no rush at all.
and
The only thing is that the only real difference is that it's currently doing meetings every 2 weeks, and we can,
cancel.
by resolution now or later, resolve to cancel every second meeting. That'll work, right?
Which would be my recommendation, however, given the workload that staff
Precisely.
has and they're short-handed.
Precisely.
So I think council should back away.
Haley, would you care to comment on that suggestion?
No, I think that's a fair suggestion. And you can cancel meetings. 'Cause
Yeah, anyway, yeah. Okay, so I will move that we table the third reading of the Council Procedures Bylaw to such time as the new CAO is in place. Could I have a second? Everybody's thinking? Thanks. So we'll have further discussion. Ron, it looks like you want to say something.
I wouldn't have had any changes on this, it's
I
fine.
would-
We're good with the document, I think the protocol's good that you put forward.
I'm just wondering, what is the protocol with regards to cancelling? Like, do we ask and see if there's any agenda items, and if there's not, then we cancel? Like,
No,
who
we have to have
decides
a
on this?
resolution. We have to resolve in a meeting, if it's not the previous meeting, some meeting.
But how will we know in 2 weeks' time?
Well, I believe
that we're
I
gonna
can actually do
cancel?
it as well, right? I can cancel a meeting with council's say so.
Approval. I'm not sure.
I think the CO might be able to cancel.
Also,
Mhm. But based on what?
based on lack of stuff to discuss, or
So,
based on council's desire not to have a second meeting.
Or
Because I'm
lack
just
of quorum.
because I'm just wondering,
Well,
so you look at the agenda to see if there is enough items, so we submit it to,
Well, if there was a burning issue, you have a special.
we'd have a special, as we have had special meetings as well. So
It's required. I think in this case, the suggestion was made because if we had adopted this, we were going to monthly meetings. But right now, we have to do bi-weekly, so we do have the option of canceling it if we wanted to still go to monthly meetings while we wait for this to be adopted.
Yeah, I'm not sure of the agreement that was that we were gonna go to a monthly meeting. I think it would continue to have bi-weekly meetings and
And
then
cancel
cancel. Yeah.
That is actually what we discussed.
But
Which-
This
if
is
No,
what
this
it says.
one doesn't say that.
No.
is there a downside to bringing this in now, going to third reading and saying that's it, it's done?
Well, I'm hearing.
I mean, we did a lot of work, there was a lot of work done on this change.
Yeah, you did actually raise that objection, and there was one other thing you brought up.
Oh, that was taken out about the recording thing.
No, there was one other thing as well. You pointed out. Was that it?
Yeah.
So, what we had discussed around the table was that we would stick with the 2 meetings a month, not actually every second week. Actually, the first and third Tuesday, which in some months means that there's actually a third potential meeting. July, for example, would have had one. That we don't have that meeting, and then cancel the second one, as a matter of course, unless we needed it. That was what was discussed. That is not what it says here.
One of the emphasis for the change was the fact that because of the number of meetings we were having, a lot of people felt it was mandatory that we had the 2 meetings, okay? And we were overloading staff with a lot of stuff that was coming off council. And so we decided that maybe we need to make a change to give us the ability to go. If we need to do 2 meetings, we can, but we're only mandated to do 1.
Right.
And that's what the driving point was when we started this process. And so that's what got it going.
Well, let's ask staff. Do you see any benefit to deferring this to the new CAO's final polish?
Well, I guess it depends on how comfortable you are. You have spent a lot of work on it. If you felt a new CIO would have input into it, but I mean,
You know,
if
a
you're
new
comfortable
CAO
with it,
may
I
come in
think
here and say, "You don't need Section 8.1." You know,
if we get someone with municipal experience.
well,
I think that my choice is, in my opinion, we've done the work on it. We had Mandy here helping us with it, walked it. We went through this whole process. The committees looked at it. And I think that we need to move on it and get it done and get it off our table. And if it needs to change at a later date, that's fine. But until we get a new CAO, I think it makes sense just to keep on moving.
Okay,
I
well
really don't
then,
think we should wait.
that's fine. So the question on the table, the motion on the table right now is to table this. So that's the main motion, and we'll call that question. And then we will, you can also bring a motion to amend, which we will consider second, if you don't like that monthly thing.
Okay.
Okay, so that is the secondary motion. So the motion is stated, please, that we amend this draft before third reading.
That we amend this draft before third meeting.
The reading
The reading
to retain
to retain the
meetings on this first and third Tuesday of every month.
Yes.
Okay, so that's the motion. I'll second that. And any further discussion? So I'll call the question. The motion is to amend the text of the new council procedures bylaw number 476 to stipulate meetings on the first and third Tuesdays of every month rather than the first alone. Call the question. All in favour? That's 2. Opposed? So I cast the vote. No, we're beyond discussion. I can't ask your opinion. I will vote for the motion with the stipulation that we will, as a matter of routine, cancel the second meeting. But we have it. Because, for example, we have needed every one of these meetings that we've had in the last 3 months. Every one. I would have had to have called special meetings if we hadn't had them. So the motion carries. That was the secondary question. The main question is tabling the reading. So I've had a motion and a second on that one. Further discussion? Cool. Yeah, good.
To the point about waiting for a new CAO to put his or her mark on it, I'm looking at it in a slightly different way. Is we have an opportunity to choose a new CAO that needs to be the right fit for this village. So we need somebody who isn't going to upset the whole apple cart here, but will be able to come in and use what we have now. And to the point where our departing CAO has put a tremendous amount of work into here with a lot of thought. I think she's pretty well got it right. So I'm more in favor of going with what we have and make it work and find a new CAO that will fit us rather than us fit him or her.
Okay. Yeah, that's a good point. Anybody else?
I think on this I was originally going with your suggestion, Mayor, for a protocol. I think that with Councillor Hughes and where Councillor Bean are going, I think the legislation's substantially done. The final amendments there are ready to go.
Yeah, and isn't the procedure document, isn't it fairly standard? Nothing very much.
It is now fairly standard.
Yeah, it's not
It was a little
culturally
custom.
based.
It's been it's been now
It's been decustomized, it is fairly standard the way it is, it pretty much follows the act, so, yeah, the charter, yeah.
Okay, so we'll stop discussion there. So the motion on the table is to table it until the CAO, so it can have all votes in favour. There being none against. Even I will vote against my own motion.
Lastly, I noticed.
So that does not carry. It will not be tabled, and now we will call for a motion to adopt as amended because of the previous subsidiary. So motion to adopt as amended. I think I saw a hand. Can I have a second? Any further discussion? I think we've had this discussion. So I'll call the question. All in favour of adoption of the Council Procedures Bylaw number 476 of 2015. Thank you. Hannah?
Oh, I think there was a typo, but
Okay, typos,
Yeah,
just
okay, yeah.
typos,
Yeah.
we can fix.
yeah.
Okay, so that's
Yeah.
unanimous. Unanimous.
Yeah, sorry, it was third reading. It wasn't adoption.
Oh, sorry, I beg your
Sorry,
pardon.
I should have
Oh, it was
interjected.
third reading,
Sorry.
it is third
Got all
reading.
excited.
All
I was got
these
excited.
left and right turns, I couldn't keep up.
Yeah, sorry.
Right there, third reading.
So we'll have to, unfortunately,
where's
because
Wendy
it's
when we need
now,
her?
it's been done, so it's in the record, so we'll have to resolve to,
And
just think how
adopt.
this goes.
It'll have to be adopted, yeah,
No, we haven't done third
Adopt.
reading.
well, we just did third reading.
Do third reading before adoption.
No, we resolved to adopt. That was my
Oh,
error.
okay, I see.
So we'll
We
rescind
have
the
to
motion.
rescind the motion.
So I need a motion to rescind the prior motion. Second. Anybody want to discuss it? All in favour? Opposed? That carries. So that previous motion is rescinded. Now the motion is.
Third
I will-
reading.
Reading.
Can somebody else state it so I don't get it wrong, please? Come
I
down.
can't state it, can I? Oh,
Yeah, you
the
can say it.
council passed its third reading of Council Procedures Bylaw number 476.
Third reading.
Third reading.
Okay, second.
As amended.
As
As
amended.
amended. As amended.
As amended, yeah.
Where's the machine? As amended. Okay, so any,
Shona, do you have the amendment to your satisfaction as you're recording it?
I'm gonna
I
have to
don't.
listen to the audio.
Okay.
I've got a whole lot of confusion.
yeah, sorry about that.
Computer screen.
It's nested.
Just to clarify then, my understanding of the amendment was to actually go back to the first and third for the meetings.
Yes.
However, with the stipulation, and it was your stipulation that confused me. What was your stipulation?
No, it wasn't a stipulation, and that would not form part of the bylaw,
That's what I was
but with the
confused.
expectation
Just-
that
So
the
it's
second
all-
one would not be needed.
Do you remember
Under-
that in the bylaw?
No.
Okay.
No.
Thank you.
No.
Okay.
No, so just to remind us, yeah, here it is. So regular council meetings must, this is 8.2a, the text will now read, be held on the first and third Tuesday of every month, excepting August. End of story.
Which page is that on?
Page 7 of the bylaw, page 57 of the package. Okay, so we're all clear on the change? Okay, so we're going for third reading. It's moved and seconded.
Yes.
So no further discussion? Call the question. All in favour? Opposed? Was none opposed, right?
No.
Okay. Seeing none, that carries unanimously. Whew, sorry about that.
Thank you, staff.
Thank you for your forbearance. Officers bylaw, page 77. Pam, are you able to remind us what the point was here again?
I think it was to simplify. It was to refer to the village manager as the chief administrative officer, the treasurer as the chief financial officer, and to remove, as in the prior bylaws, the detailed, job descriptions,
yeah.
because we felt that they would be in the contracts.
That's right.
So to
Yeah,
simplify.
we removed the job descriptions, what we did.
And in fact, Jim noticed this in the bylaw and policy review committee, that the previous bylaw that the current one replaced had not been rescinded. So we're actually operating under two bylaws. So this gives us the opportunity to finally quash one of two bylaws. We're down by one.
And that's a good sign.
That's a good sign. My only thing is the font needs to be Calibri. That is our... Shauna, you can decide here and now. What's the official village font?
What is that?
Calibri. Good. I like that decision. Okay, so I don't think there's much controversial there. Essentially it gives us the power for council to establish from time to time what the job specification is for the two officer positions, which are treasurer and CAO,
Without having to go through the bylaw.
without having to amend the bylaw every time. In fact, the position is not CAO, it's actually village manager, who assumes the duty of the CAO, as it says in here. It's good stuff.
So-
Mandy wrote this.
So, because when I was reading this, I was thinking, okay, how come both of them say village manager?
Exactly. So,
So that's the
so our
problem?
current ad is
So
not
now
for a
we're
village manager.
So what we're saying in the bylaw is the village manager to be the chief administrative officer, and the
That's-
treasurer
yeah.
to be the chief financial officer, so both terms.
That's a right, duty and responsibility rather than the position title. Although your title, for example, is actually CFO,
It
isn't
is.
it? Yeah. So in some cases that is actually the title as well. Okay, so we're clear on this? So can I have a motion to do first, second and third reading on officers by law number 494? Thanks. And a second? Thanks. And further discussion? No? Call the question. All in favour of first, second and third reading on officers by law number 494? And opposed? Getting none, that carries unanimously. So that's first, second and third. 11 on the agenda. List of correspondence to May 27th, page 103. I'm not proposing to go through this in any detail. You've read the package. I just did want to ask, Pam, are you aware of what the process is going to be for the ECOM annual general meeting and the proxy?
Mandy had put a note here under your signed proxy must arrive at ECOM at 10 a.m. She said only if they have a proxy vote. I'm not quite sure what that note meant.
Okay, so the
I can
backstory
call her.
there is that we are represented by the North Shore something or other, our current that we resolved about 2 meetings ago was Daryl Masada, the mayor of North Van District City. He is our representative. Does he need our proxy, or is he our vote? That's what I don't understand.
The problem, well, first of all, Daryl Masada was the fellow. Now they've changed it to another guy.
Thank you.
I've forgotten his name at the moment.
The mayor of North Van District, Richard Walton.
That's right, yeah. No, for the meeting that we're talking about here, a member, usually the mayor, or I went last year, can go and vote on some of the things, accepting of the financial records and all that. But the position Masato had before is sitting on the board of directors voting. This is what the invitation here is, to send a member to the annual meeting for the vote on that, aside from the board of directors.
Okay, so I see that we were, according to the minutes of the previous meeting of June 19th, 2014, we were there. That was you.
That's right.
So I think this date is only applicable if you choose to vote by proxy. If someone goes there and votes, then this date is not applicable.
Yes. So, who would like to go? I'm willing to do it, happy to do it. Fred, you're an ecom kind of guy.
I think it would be good for you to go see it.
Yeah, that's what I think.
I'd be happy to step back and leave room.
Okay, so just by nod, I'll go and represent us at the ecom AGM. Okay, fine.
This is an annual thing, Mayor Burr. I suggest that the other three of us pick up a staff next year.
You have to take picture ID to get in, because it's a secure facility.
Signing the works.
Okay, so that's good. That's all I had on that correspondence. So I will need to make sure I calendar that one. Do you mind sending me a reminder? That's important. You can't miss that one. Thanks. One other thing. The Premier has asked if there's anything we want to raise with her at the UBCM. Is there?
Yeah, stop trying to put tankers up and down Howe Sound.
Yeah, that's not something she's going to really want to talk about.
Talk to the hand.
About getting rid of that compression station they're talking about putting in the floating.
So the one thing I thought potentially is to get her rubber stamp on talking to Department of the Environment to start correlating our snowpack to our stream flow. You know, there's a correlation between snowpack, wind, temperature, rain, month of the year, and future stream flow. So that we can, I think the way to do it is to have satellite pictures or aerial pictures. We can measure the thing that correlates to future stream flow, and it'll take 20 years to do. But then at least we know that when the snowpack is this is what the water is going to be in August, assuming we know it's going to rain, of course. So that's what I was thinking to ask her about. But you know, is she going to be listening? No. But she will then tap some minister to take it from there.
You can ask to speak to a minister.
Yeah, and I have. This is not unknown to them. Jordan Sturdy is working on this for us, but this is the kind of, and what I want them to do is actually fund an academic study.
I suppose the key to dealing with the Premier and at that the provincial politics at that level is to get her on our side somehow for doing something and put us in her good books so she pays attention to some of the things that are going on in the area, but I don't know how you're going to do that.
Well, I can assure you making any waves around LNG is not going to do
Well,
that.
no, I'm not saying that. I'm saying that, you know, it's something that has to be acquired over a
Yeah,
long
I mean,
period
it's
of
as much
time.
as name to face type of thing,
Yeah.
but not that she knows my name from bar of soap. So.
My comment was a little bit off the cuff, but at least that,
That's fine.
yeah.
Okay, good. So we'll leave it there for correspondence.
Are you going to the?
Yeah, I am. And what's the drill? Should everybody go?
I'm out of town.
But I mean, is it a good idea for councillors to go, or do we just need one representative?
I think it's close by. I'll give you that one.
Yeah. I mean, this is where the business gets done.
I think if you haven't been to one, you might want to go. I mean, I think.
It's just taken for granted that the mayor goes.
Yes, I mean, I think you're the person in the corner. You go and make the best pitch for probably one or two things that we're looking for.
Okay. Got it. Anything else on that? Okay, we'll move on to new business, community container.
Thank you, Mayor Burr. This is a container that the Arts Council had approved, Arts Council had requested we'd approved in the community budget. The caveat and the issue now is the location. The quick background is that they're not in a position to put it on a piece of private property outside of the municipal bounds is inconvenient. The Arts Council is fronting for what I've termed it as a community container, where they'll be pulling in all of the community groups who've got storage requests and actually self-policing that. The issue for discussion, and I can put it down, and the council members can think about it, and we can speak about it next time we meet. To me, the potential locations are the CN parking lot at the end. We give away parking spots. We might consider, with a little bit of work from staff, to see if we can push out the concrete abutments at the far end, just at the start of the trail for the CN thing, whether there's room there. Presuming that a 40-foot trailer container could probably fit there, so that's a possible. I'm using that as an example. Or we would have some partial on that one. The other suggestion is the gravel parking lot at the school, which is not our bailiwick, and that council could consider asking the resident group to go to the school board directly with our support.
Those are the two options.
I can't think of a third place to put it on.
What's the time requirement here? It's tough getting wet in the rain until there's.
No, it's in private residence and houses and stuff like
So it
that.
can't last forever.
But I mean, the issue is people move; they got to get rid of the stuff. I mean, as long as it's on the radar, that's fine with me. I mean, I wish that it was an easy issue. It's not, but it's not the hardest one either.
Yeah, well, I mean, the issue with those two, unfortunately, I know both won't work. Although that's all I can think of too. The CN lot would be contrary to our lease. The lease stipulates parking and fire training only.
Okay, that's a no.
Yeah, and we don't want to mess with it. There's a flag raised there right now.
It just came to me. What if we put it up at the fire department? Up top.
Up top at the pit, that's what I was just thinking.
Oh, at the pit.
At the pit.
And actually, that
But
just
that's an access
That's a
issue.
good,
no, because then the group is forced to go, as we know when the chief and his team are up there for whatever reason. So within that narrow band, they've got access and they've got a location.
Haley?
That's also contrary to our lease
You don't own it.
at Brunswick Pit.
Yeah.
And it's private property. We only have a lease on the land, we don't own the land.
Well, it's crown property, but yeah, we have a. Yeah.
Well, let me guess, it could get lost in the container heaven up there.
Depending on the size of it, if you just said 40 feet, you'd need seismic on that, like that's bigger than 10 by 10. Anything bigger than 10 by 10 is classed as an accessory structure and requires seismic and a building permit.
It's a nice idea.
So that's a problem too, depending on what size you're going to get.
Yeah, and so touching on the school, because of the plans for the before and after school care there, and because of the fact that it is well acknowledged by the district that parking lot's too small anyway, they will
No.
almost guaranteed. Now, the school lands do go way back there, about another 80 meters in a southerly
There's
direction.
a cost to
Yeah,
get
exactly.
to it,
There's
so
no access, and it's a bit of a.
I propose that I brought the thing up. We've got other things on the agenda. We'll just
Do we want to ask staff to produce a report at some point? The reason I asked about the time was, how pressing is this?
not.
the issue,
I think within a couple of months it'll be fine.
the issue is it can't go on private property. It has to go on municipal land.
Well, there'd be a very altruistic resident who volunteered.
No, that's not, I'm just saying, that, so we have to look for public land somewhere.
Well,
Or-
my knowledge of the village, I can only think of one resident who's got a property that's big enough and oddly enough has containers on it.
Yeah,
So,
Yeah, but you wouldn't want to.
but then we get into
because
different
there's
issues.
access. I mean, what? Somebody has to come and fetch the paint
Yeah.
supplies.
Yeah, anyhow, so.
What about up near Harvey Plant? I mean, the road's been redone. There's an access issue again, and no, that couldn't do it because it's not barriered. Do you have any thoughts, Helen?
Honestly, no, to be honest, when it was initially approved, I couldn't think of a
I'm
single
just-
place to put it.
I'm remembering a conversation a few years back, down on the bottom of Isletview. There's property along Alberta Creek there, down below the Wade property, okay? That is, it's still provincial land, and I'm not sure what the deal is with that, but we've talked about taking it and putting all sorts of stuff down there for years. A storage area for RVs and all that kind of stuff. It's never gone anywhere.
Does it have to be within the village limits? Can it be a storage locker at ustore.com? Down at Park Royal or any other place, such
I'm
place?
gonna take this away. I think we've put enough brains on this one.
Okay.
It's a community issue, but there's feedback.
Well, it behooves us to solve it because.
Well, we want to help assist in this. Okay.
But continuing on from the container, I think the resident had submitted a few other questions. Was someone going to respond to that? There was an email listing for.
This isn't related to the email.
Yeah,
Okay, because that was one of the.
This was from the last
Okay.
council.
yeah, it was a budget item even.
Oh, okay. I thought it was
Yeah.
plucked out of there.
No, and that email was addressed to council.
Yeah.
Let me look at that.
Okay.
That's not on the agenda.
Yeah.
Okay, CEO hiring committee terms of reference, page 137. Now this was mine, but is somewhat superseded by the fact that the constitution of the committee needs to be approved by council by resolution. Regardless of the constitution of the committee, constitution meaning the people on it, not the terms of reference, it needs to be a select committee, which is appointed by council, not a standing committee appointed by mayor. So the story is that the initial discussion revolved around appointing a search committee for the new CAO to do things that you're all aware of. You all saw the sequence of events as they unfolded, comprising 2 members of council and 2 members of staff. Subsequent discussion with council in a non-meeting situation was that members of council wanted to see additional 2 residents. The people that were nominated by me and others were me and Helen as the council members. Staff nominated Pam and Nikki as the staff reps, and the residents that were nominated were suggested that I thought would be good were Peter Dorsman and Andrew Oliver. Subsequently, staff felt that there was no need for the additional resident component, and so that's where we are right now. I'd like to hear thoughts on who should be on the committee. Do we in fact need a committee? The fact that whether it's standing is now moot. It's going to be a select committee. Council has to appoint it, and we have to do it tonight because time is pressing. Why do we have to do it tonight? The committee also has to hire an interim CAO.
Well, that was one suggestion I was going to make. You've caught some council at the June 2nd, 2015 strikes a select committee, and we've talked about those changes. But just for a search committee to select for a permanent CAO, through some of the emails I've sent to you, the interim CAO I think needs to be done much more quickly. I mean, we'd like someone in within days if we could, and you had approached the LGMA to get their information.
I'd like that to go through the search committee. That, as much as anything, I want that to go through the search committee to get additional eyes on it.
But is it required?
It's just interim.
This is a function within the village right now. We're talking about an interim CAO to fill a gap right now while we look for a permanent solution. So the permanent solution, I agree, the committee is a good way to go. I think we can do it internally with, looking for the interim CAO to get started because it's urgent.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think we need to, by the time you start forming a committee, creating a committee, getting people, going through people's schedules and things like that, other than the internal staff, it's going to be difficult.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I point out there's a schedule. The cutoff for submittals is the 18th or the 15th.
It is, but based on what we're receiving, I strongly suspect we'll be reposting. I don't see this position filled probably into the fall, and that was sort of the point of the interim, and that's the need that the LGMA feels. They give you a list, you contact them, find their rates, mayor and council make a decision on who they want to hire, and that frees you up to make the proper decision about the full-time permanent
Well, I have talked to
CAO.
several of those people informally and through third parties. I spoke to Don Lidstone, who's as our council, as you know, and he said be absolutely sure to run the name by him because he, in many cases, knows why they're on the list, which was a hint of saying some people you would not want. So we'll have to be. That list is not this. It's not the source of. It's not our salvation anyway. We may need to look off the list, and it's not very long either. It's surprising, and it contains everybody. Public works managers, CFOs. There's probably half a dozen CAO type people on there. So it's a very quick vetting. Yeah, I take your point that doesn't need to go through a committee necessarily. But then who does hire the interim?
Well,
Mayor and council.
that's exactly right. That's a senior staff position job to do that. Like if you're filling a position for interim, until you give bias and time to get somebody qualified. Yeah.
Well, I mean, so you want to get every email? You want to sit in on every interview?
Well, what I'm saying is, let's not put a big process in
I am
place.
talking about the interim.
We're short on time. Let's get something in place that'll work. We all may have to do a little bit on it, but I think it makes sense to me.
Thank you, Mayor Burr. 2 points. I think it's tantamount that we get the temporary as soon as possible, and that we have a shotgun poster find on this one and see what it yields. I think that within the council group, I'm going to guess that I'm hopeful that 1 or 2 candidates so stand out that what we're looking for, that a special meeting and an interview and some follow-up work would probably work for the temp that we're looking for. So that's my view on the temp piece, because I do see it as, just as I say, a very skilled temporary position to assist staff during a busy period. So that's my piece on that. As for the hiring committee, bigger picture, no issues. I'm not, going through the piece, but I think that the 2 pieces I had was on Mr. Dorsman, an excellent person. I'm not sure where it fits with him being aware of compensation to our staff. So I'll just pose that as an issue. For Chief Oliver, who's an employee of ours and signed confidentiality agreements, I don't have any worry with that. So I see that as just something to cover. And the other piece here is that it's not quite clear, and perhaps you could give your thoughts on this one, that let's say that the final candidate or candidates, perhaps there's 2 neck and neck, come forward without going polling or voting, whatever it is. The issue here is that the candidates need to come forward to council. Is that your proposal, that the final 1 or 2 come forward to all of council for a brief meeting, or which? That's the final hiring step.
Yeah. So the terms of reference say address that, and so as currently envisaged. So this body, let's call it the search committee, will set the criteria and establish a candidate shortlist from the list of people that we've seen. Okay, this was before we actually had some experience what sort of candidacy we would see. But then to answer your question, interview, verify, contact references, and otherwise review shortlist candidates. And shortlist is somewhere between 2 and 6, if you want a number.
Best candidates.
Recommend suitable candidates and compensation to council.
Okay.
End of story. And then council would make a decision.
So the short list comes to council.
Shortlist comes to council.
Done. Thanks.
That was the proposition.
I would be fine with this as it stands.
The reality is, there's nobody on the shortlist yet. There's no question.
Ergo, the importance of the temp.
Absolutely. And I think that you're using the word temp purposely, because it is truly temporary. It's not an interim role. It's a temporary role. Highly qualified, but temporary. With very much the expectation that this person will stick around for weeks to months and no further than that. So the reality so far is I think we've seen, off the top of my head, about 8 submittals to our ad. Some that are all fairly qualified people, but
not for this job.
Not for this job. The prime stipulation for this job is smaller municipality experience, and they don't have it. That's only one marketing technique. I have calls into a variety of existing CEOs who, for example, Bowen Island, who replaced a 7-year CAO who still lives on Bowen, is available, is very good. I have 2 contacts coming through Metro. There are opportunities out there. The committee, I believe, is the correct body to produce a shortlist and make recommendations to council. I guess the only real question, unless you tell me different, is how is it constituted? So I think we're all in agreement with 2 staff and 2 members of council. The propositions for your approval are for staff Pam and Nikki, and for council me and Helen. The real question, I think, is does council see value in adding 2 further residents?
Well, I had previously stated in my case that I do see value in it. It sort of creates the triangle, and it offers, I think, to me, the residents are the primary stakeholders. So why would they not be involved if they're qualified or provide some area of expertise?
For the permanent position, you need resident input. You need resident representation on the committee just to just to say you had participation from everybody. And I think that's a good way to go.
Does council not represent the residents?
Council does represent the residents, but council may have a different view than the residents would on what the position is.
Council has a different skill set.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's really the piece here.
Yeah, that's right. We're trying to change the way we do things, and let's make sure we do it in a fashion that's gonna be acceptable.
Yeah.
I agree with Helen completely.
Great.
I see both sides of the issue on this one, and I think both sides have very good points of view. I think the two candidates' suggestion are quality people. I do agree with the point that we've been elected to represent the people, so probably not necessary, but I think having as much skill around the table as possible is an advantage, to the point that you don't get too many people, so decisions are hard to come by. So I'm neutral on it, quite frankly. I could go one way or the other.
Pam?
Oh, my only question with the residents is the selection of the residents. Should they be appointed, or for perception of being open, should you ask for applications and make a decision on who the residents should be? My concern with appointing them, it does seem somewhat arbitrary. It's like you're allowing residents, but we're only allowing the two we picked. And you might not have any interest, but I think something could be put in the e-post, and you could ask for people to come forward. You could do it quickly.
I think you'd probably find
expression
there's
of
people
interest.
interested in doing it.
There might be some people, special expertise in that
Yeah.
area that we don't know about.
That's
Mhm.
right.
And how would they then be selected? By council?
The council.
Or by the chair of the committee?
We'd
Excuse
have
me,
to,
by the way.
it's like, how do you do that?
It's by
Yes,
council.
That's
I think
right.
mayor and council would make that decision.
That's right.
So that's another 2 weeks.
I think this is wheels within wheels, to use your expression, Mayor Burr. I mean, I get the openness here, but certainly for all of us who chair committees, either we had a good idea of someone within the village that was technically trained, or provided a certain skill set that we were looking for, and their names were, at some time, were put forward to council. In my view, you put forward two names.
Yeah, I did.
So you're asking confirmation of the two names.
Yeah. To address your concerns about the privacy of the comp, it's going to be over 75, so it's public anyway. Maybe after the fact, but it's not secret.
I'll leave it with you.
The salary range is advertised anyway, so that's understood. I think we can address all your concerns, which are valid.
Well, just that one's a small one,
Yeah.
versus the number before it goes to the public, to a public member, that's all.
To address your timing, we have 2 weeks to have all the applications come in anyway for the applicants. So if you did the same timeline for the residents, I don't think it would slow the process down. Just to address that specific concern.
Yeah, you're right. You okay?
Oh, yeah, sorry.
No, sorry. All of a sudden it sounded bad in that corner. I do that sometimes. Yeah, nothing really is happening until the deadline, right?
Mm-hmm.
We're just reading them. Anybody who, yeah.
And then we would approach and
Well,
make
then we
interview
do. Well,
appointments.
that's then we'll follow the terms of reference on how
Right.
we're going to approach that, which is preliminary screen submittals to produce a candidate list. That is the search committee's job, and it'd be a pretty quick job at the moment. It's a list of 0.
But
I would hope so.
the importance of the technical review of it isn't really high in this respect, because you're screening. You're following a set of guidelines for the established position that we already have.
Well, you're also interviewing. You're also following up on references.
Yeah.
That's
But
that's a lot of labour.
And you're putting a short list in front of council, and
Exactly.
council will make
With
the
a
decision.
recommendation.
Yeah.
I think the
And-
screening is what he's saying is the screening is the
Yeah.
part that would be quite easy. It's just
Oh,
the
yes,
next
yeah.
step is the interviewing, and that's the challenge.
Yeah, and I think the screening you do around the table, you say candidate A.
The screening is, even though sometimes for a lot of positions in big companies, it's a huge job, but it is basic. You've got a set of rules you follow, so this way or that way, and that's it. And now that's how you produce your short list.
Okay, so let's make a decision. Committee that will handle only the permanent CAO. The temp is going to be handled by me. Making calls.
If you need help, you'll ask.
Well,
Staff
we're-
calling the networks.
I mean, if you have difficulty making a decision, you wanna pull on any, well, for me anyways, you send me an email, say review this, I'm on email all the time.
I'm with
Quite
Jim.
frankly, in my ideal world, I'd like the committee constituted immediately, and they help find the temp as well. For the same reasons, they have interview skills, it's another set of eyes, blah blah blah. But there's also a timeliness issue. Although we could constitute the committee tonight.
Well, I think that it's important that it's internal, the people that are gonna actually work with the interim person for a while.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I don't want it to be just me, interviewing these potential hired guns. So then we have to bring them in, have to go through the interview process, or at least do a phone interview. I'd prefer to do it through the committee, through these terms of reference.
But you're now, you're costing 2 weeks' time.
No, we can
No, he's
constitute the
active
committee
right now.
tonight.
Are you talking about permanent position or?
No, he's going to temp
Okay,
and the CAO hunt.
okay.
So he's going to use the committee for both, starting tomorrow.
You still have to post meetings and do it as every other committee.
Yeah,
so
it's
still-
always 24 hours
Just
notice.
slows it
well,
down.
It's a real committee, yeah. It's a formal committee.
I guess I saw the interim as being more mayor and council's decision with maybe some recommendations
somebody
from
has to do the
staff.
work.
Well, it's just interim, and the LGMA. I mean, these are people who aren't interested in a full-time job, who have done the job before. I think it's a much easier decision. You're very specific that they're working this many hours a week until it's hired.
And would you say from a staff point of view, it doesn't need quite a good fit, like cultural fit?
Honestly, we just
They
need
just
someone to
go
help
in and
us.
do it.
Yeah.
Obviously, the fit is important,
Yeah,
but
but
nothing
not-
like the
yeah.
fit that's required for the long-term position.
Mhm.
This is like getting a temp in to help us because we're concerned, Nikki and I.
Is it workload or is it expertise?
Both.
Yeah, so we can't just go down to manpower and hire somebody
Well,
with
if you
sales
hire,
skills.
if you fill a temp position or an interim position, you look at the qualification, you say, okay, you don't think as hard about the fit. You think about getting the workload off the plate and getting things back to normal for a while to buy you some time. And so that's a fast decision.
Okay, well, we don't lose anything by putting a committee in play to do that. Whether the committee gets involved in the temp decision as a whole is up to the committee. So what I propose is that we decide now, do we have a search committee? Am I hearing yes?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. Do I hear that we're okay with Carl, Helen, Mandy,
No,
Pam?
we wouldn't have this meeting if
No.
it was Mandy.
Man, that was probably, that was a slip of the lip. Sorry. Nikki, Pam, Peter Dorsman, Andrew Oliver.
Again, why are we pointing to residents
As opposed to what?
as opposed to
Opening it
asking
up.
for,
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
and getting people to volunteer
Concerned
who may
about
have
the perception.
expertise? We're taking two people that we sort of know and like, okay, and we're saying.
Well, it's
we
not
want them on the
it's not a
committee.
question of like, it's highly qualified, to Ron's point, that a committee appoints experts to itself.
I-
But I take your point. Is it worth the 2-week delay, because it's then next council meeting, to constitute a committee to do anything? Because until such time, nobody can do anything. There's no committee.
Well, no, we can, if we do it right, we can get going on the search for the temporary. Now,
Who's we?
well, no,
Sorry.
the village, okay?
Who?
I don't know, have we decided that this committee is also going to hire the interim? I thought that was still on the table, that it could just be mayor and council and staff.
Well, so I mean, if
that
we don't have a
recommend the
committee for
interim.
2 weeks, because next council meeting is in 2 weeks' time, right? Not 4 weeks'
But that's
time.
when the applications are due, so I don't believe it will delay the
Okay,
hiring
so
of a
that will
permanent
then
CAO.
automatically
But it
preclude the
will an
committee.
interim.
Yeah, the committee would not get involved in looking for an interim. So if not a committee, how do we find the, sorry, not interim, temp? Who makes the phone calls?
Well, you've been doing it so far.
Well, yeah.
No,
Don't
I'm
you
not
want
being.
another set of eyes?
Yeah,
Well, there
but,
will be another set of eyes on the resumes that come in. I mean, that's really usually how an interim is found. The LGMA, sometimes you pick it right from the list, you make a phone call, they're available, they're working the next day.
Council resolution first.
Yes, and a council resolution, sorry, with a special meeting, because you don't want to wait to the next
Well,
council meeting, because
so-
we're going to have some before that.
Exactly. So you know, do we actually need a council resolution to hire a
Yes.
temporary CAO?
Yes, we do.
Council needs a resolution to do
It's-
anything.
Are they an officer?
Yes, they'd have to be appointed as the CAO. So you'd need to have a meeting to do that, but also council can't make a decision to hire somebody, because council can't make a decision unless by
Oh,
resolution.
precisely. So we're talking either a special meeting.
A
Right.
special meeting,
Quick.
quick, 5-minute meeting.
Yeah. 5
Yeah.
o'clock per day.
The question is, you know, I don't want to be appointing some prison escapee as an officer of Lions Bay until they've been fairly thoroughly vetted.
But aren't these interim people vetted?
They are not vetted at all.
Really? Oh,
But,
there is.
I mean, most of the names are already recognized, they've been CAOs. Most
have,
of them
yeah.
are retired CAOs, we're
That's
just
true.
interested.
They're gonna
in
have
coming in.
references, they're gonna have all that stuff already in place. You're not gonna look at anybody without some sort of reference.
We have gone through this process before and appointed an interim CAO through the LGMA. We did it in 2009.
Who did the work and what was the work?
Staff did it and we appointed Rick Beauchamp as the interim CAO until, as we were doing the hiring process with the village manager. And he was here on a contract basis.
Was he good?
He
Does
was
he want to,
excellent.
Very
does he
good.
want to come
Oh,
back?
he's
Well,
excellent.
he's on the
He's
list.
on the list.
He's on the list.
Yeah, he's on the list. He's also expensive.
Because he's excellent.
Okay, well, I'm fine with that. I'm fine doing the temporary interim CAO as a fairly ad hoc process in all my spare time.
Staff can help.
Yeah, I know,
Make phone
but
calls,
in all
get
your spare time.
information. It's worth it,
That's
because
fine.
it's to get me more spare time, so
Yeah.
there's a motivation here.
So that means then that we can, if we want to call for nominations for members of the public, we're talking about a search committee only doing business in 2 weeks' time.
But no, it could be actually in a week's time during our special meeting when we
Mhm.
hire the interim.
Right.
Well, there's no guarantee that's going to happen. We don't know when
We're
that is.
hoping.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Well,
Yeah, I don't want
Or
to
at the
presuppose
next
that.
council meeting, there's another council meeting in 2 weeks, which is when the applications aren't even due till then. I
Well,
mean, we're
you're
s-
on the 15th. That's far less than 2 weeks from now. And
Second.
until the committee's in play, there's no work happening.
It's the 15th, the next
Yeah.
council meeting is the 16th.
Correct.
Is it?
Yes.
Yes, so the timing.
Oh, that's actually quite good then.
Yes.
it is-
Okay, so then I'm less objecting to not having a committee in play. I would like to know that there's a committee operating. If council feels that we need to not appoint members of the public, but call for noms,
that's a suggestion,
Yeah,
and
that's just a
the
suggestion.
council needs to make a decision on that, that's fine.
so
Yeah.
that seems to be the one thing that we just, what's your thinking, Fred?
I'd like to keep it nice and simple and efficient. I take the point of the openness to anybody, but I'm not really sure if the residents really are going to be too up in arms if we do appoint somebody or not. I mean, I'm sure somebody would complain, but a lot of people probably don't care. They just want us to get on with the work.
Thanks. Ron, you've already stated. Anything else?
You and Helen are the council reps. I mean, it seems to me that you like the two people that you put forward. I'm fine with that.
No?
Yes, I'm actually almost inclined to say to expedite the process. And these two seem like, ordinarily I would say put it out.
Yes,
But in this case,
you would.
Yeah.
Yeah, Jim, I think we know what you think, but do you want
Yeah,
to?
no, I'm
embroider on
not,
that?
I've stated it very clearly, and I have no, the council, it's a majority decision, I'm happy with that.
I don't think that any Lions Bay resident would object to those two individuals as their representative. They're well respected, they're neutral, etc., etc. So as representatives, if they're going to be appointed, they both indicated their willingness to serve, as you would expect, as any resident I think would offer. I would like to have a committee in play sooner rather than later. I'm inclined to go with the nominations rather than call for nominations and authorize the committee tonight.
Can I make a suggestion that you add that they have to sign an NDA if you're appointing residents to a committee that
I
has
think that's
visibility
a very
to
good idea.
very
Yeah,
relevant
yeah,
information?
yeah, very much so. That's Yeah, there may be some other things, sort of just, yeah, that's a good idea. Okay, so we'll do a resolution on this. So I'll state the motion. No, I'll call for a motion if I can. Ron?
I put forward the motion of the CAO hiring committee, which the terms of reference are before us, page 137, 138. To reflect the terms of reference for this committee are as indicated.
Constituted as stated.
As stated.
It currently says standing,
Yeah.
you have to change that to say select.
Yeah, there's
Yeah.
a few changes. Council select and just for the permanent CAO.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't actually know how this came. Where is that again, Hayden?
By the authority committee chair, and then it says strike select standing committee, it needs to change
Yeah.
that to say strike
Council.
select committee.
And
It needs
it's
It's
to
council.
change mayor to council.
And the date, June 2nd, 2015.
You
Strike
can
the
see I've been
select
thinking
committee.
about this a lot.
And just get rid of the for vetting of a permanent
Okay.
CAO for the Village
so-
of Lions Bay.
Why get rid of it?
Get rid of the interim. I thought we had.
Well, yeah, I don't think we need to one way or the other. It doesn't matter. I don't think they'll be doing very much because, yeah, I wouldn't mind having them have a look at the interim. You don't think so?
How quickly we have the committee together?
In the next 5 minutes.
You can have a meeting tomorrow.
No, it's got to be 24 hours notice. But
Okay.
there's nothing to meet on yet.
Well, then if that's the case, if you can
I
get
think you're
something-
right. So
Okay.
I'm happy with striking the interim because then we can just do it
Okay.
ad hoc.
Okay.
Okay, so that comes out. Select committee. Okay, as stated and amended. Thanks. Can I have a second on that motion?
Sorry, you also have to strike it on the next paragraph where it says they'll search within the networks for suitable
Thanks,
candidates for both temporary and permanent. We'll
You
have to
see,
strike
that's
that
what I
again.
wanted to have happen. But we'll do that on an ad hoc basis.
And the date needs to get changed as
Yeah.
well in the next paragraph.
Okay, we'll fix all that. I'll tell you what, Shauna, I'll
Although the
on
motion
the-
just addressed those first three sentences
Okay.
that we had adjusted, so I think we're okay.
The
The first paragraph, yeah, I think you just said
Amber,
the
do you want
first.
me to repeat it?
Can we please repeat
Yeah.
the resolution?
Okay.
yes, the date in that fourth
Yeah.
sentence there is the 27th of May because that was done by email
So
circulation.
we've just addressed the first few
Pardon?
lines. Sorry.
Yeah,
So
so
the
go
first
ahead. Ron.
27th is correct?
In this, the second instance of the 27th of May is correct, yeah.
I think
The
your
first one is
motion
second.
is just going to address this
Oh.
up here.
Okay, so that is, sorry Pamela, so that's the 2nd of June?
Yes,
Second
it's
of
the
And
June,
that stays
second
the
of May,
same.
yeah.
Okay, so the changes to my motion are, in terms of reference, the paragraph that starts, and it's amended as followed by authority of community charter S.144.
I think it's 143, is it not, Haley? For standing committees?
You know, I don't know that.
Okay.
I-
As amended. It's got to get right.
Work with me a little bit here,
Because
Mayor. but-
otherwise, we've misstated our authority.
Okay,
I think it is 143, yeah.
I've got the community charter here.
I don't think I have it in here.
okay, you can fill that in. The mayor on, 27 May 15 strikes a select committee for the purpose of managing the search for a
It's
permanent,
June 2nd, I apologize.
Sorry.
June 2nd.
June 2nd.
June 2nd, yeah.
Strikes a select committee for the purpose of managing the search for a permanent CAO for the Village of Lions Bay.
Search for and vetting of.
Pardon?
Search for and vetting of.
Yes. That paragraph remains the same. The paragraph that starts advertise for strike the paragraph search directly within committee members. Amend the paragraph below that. Advertise for suitable candidates for a permanent CAO using substantial position as vetted individually by members of council on
27th May.
27 May 2015. All else unchanged.
Okay, good. Thank you. So that's the motion. Can I have a second? Any further discussion? Call the question. All in favour? Opposed? There being none, that carries unanimously. Okay, and please make sure that we note in the minutes that the members of the public will be subject to same terms and conditions and the confidentiality agreement, NDA.
It's section 142, Sean, for the record.
142.
142.
Thank you.
Whew. Man, this is fun. Okay.
Something dear to our heart.
Yeah. Let's move on to permission for beer garden.
Yes, thank you, Mayor Brewer. So
Approved.
So the request is for permission to grant the events committee to hold a beer garden. Its first point on the Canada Day celebration is organized and run by the events committee to enhance the event and to be used as a fundraiser for the events committee. They propose to ask council's agreement to host a beer garden. The margin on the beer they sell is 60%, so if it's a hot day, it's lucrative for the events committee. The event, I understand, is between 12 and 3. The perspective is that the beer garden runs from 12 to 4. All else is arranged by the events committee in terms of statutory requirements.
It's going to be held where?
Central Beach.
Pardon?
Central Beach.
Central Beach?
Canada Day.
Yeah, okay.
Just like Firefighters Day, but this is Canada Day. Yep. So Canada Day is a family day. Lots of kids, lots of bouncy castles, popcorn, that kind of stuff. The application requirements are relatively onerous, but they are taken care of all of them. There will be absolutely no staff involvement. It's only our blessing.
It's the blessing to allow them to host it at Central Beach. All the other requirements are theirs.
Okay, so let's hear some thoughts on this.
They've got to make sure that they've got all the forms, corrected forms, and got the authorization from RCMP and everything.
Yeah, so we take that as read that they're going to take care of all of that.
That's a given.
If they don't do it, it doesn't happen. This is only council's blessing.
Yep.
Do we think this is the thing that we want to have happen?
Well, this is what normally the firefighters do in September. And they've got to cordon off the area for the beer garden and everything, you know.
Yeah, no, so they'll take care of all of their requirements. This is this in keeping with the ethos of Canada Day?
No, but it is for the village.
Okay.
I think the ethos of Canada Day has changed over the years. It's just grown and grown. Now it's become like a whole different animal. And I think actually this year with the new sponsor, it's going to change to something different from previous years as well.
Yes.
So it's sort of in line with that. So it's sort of like a bigger, better Canada Day.
Every generation changes it. Everything goes on. It gets better and better every year.
Pam? The sober voice of reason?
Yeah, to me it would just be the requirements, the liquor license, but if they're taking
Well,
care of
then,
that, and if we have
they
a
need to do
precedent of
that.
the fire doing
Yeah.
it, we know how to cordon it off. And
Yeah, that's
It's a
part of the
community.
point.
It's a community soothing event in a lot of cases. So,
Okay, so you're all happy with it? I'm worried about little kids wandering around. I mean, presumably Lions Bay people will be circumspect. Non-Lions Bay people coming down to, they'll be there. The same people who are willing to pay $35 parking fine to attend the beach. Will they do the same? Do they come to our firefighter day?
Not so much.
No, exactly.
We have more out-of-towners for Canada Day for their free hot dogs. But this year, is it still going to be free?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Well, you kind of have answered my question. My concern is if we advertised it for a big event to come to Lions Bay, when there's a beer garden, you will see a great influx of people coming in from out of town. And I'm more at ease of having a beer garden for residents celebrating Canada Day, rather than the Mackenzie brothers to be yelling at everybody to take off, you hosers, and all that kind of stuff. Sorry, that was Saturday Night Live.
We know.
Second City. Second
Oh,
City.
sorry.
Yeah,
come
originally,
on.
yeah.
yeah, that's right.
I got poached.
Yeah.
But is this something we're going to advertise nationally, or? Well, this is Lions Bay. We got people going by. They know where we are. They know we have events down here sometimes, and people love coming to Lions Bay for things like that. And So it's not like we're gonna advertise in the Vancouver Sun.
It'd go on e-post, I guess, that's it.
Pardon?
It'll go on e-post.
Well, I don't think there needs much advertisement. The beach is packed.
Yeah.
Hey, beer.
They know there's already
What's the
a
price
parking
point of
problem.
the beer?
You know?
Yeah, right. Just don't touch it.
How about we suggest they don't advertise the beer, so out-of-towner won't come for the beer? If they come anyways, then fine, but it's sort of maybe only residents know there's gonna be beer?
Well, that's sort of contrary to their expectation that they're going to sell a lot of beer to raise money.
Really?
I'm not sure that's their primary
Yeah, I
aim.
Yeah. Is it more a
I
convenience
mean,
thing?
I think Councillor Watterson, I mean, what are the venues to get it out? I mean, e-post is gonna be their number one thing, and a few
that's true.
signs
They
on the
don't
bus
post it,
stops
yeah.
and stuff like that, so.
Yeah,
I
out-of-towners
mean,
won't know anyway.
I mean, I can't actually think of the firemen advertising their beer garden in a big way.
Under the license, they're required, it's just like an establishment. You're not gonna, you've got a boundary set up, you've got
Yeah.
only people, they've gotta drink the beer, you know,
Yeah.
within bounds and stuff
You're
like
not allowed to
that.
serve intoxicated.
Yeah, that's right, so they're not gonna be walking down the street with a beer in their hand, well,
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't think they are, yeah. So that's,
We will.
yeah.
Some will.
Okay, so the motion's on the table. I think it's adequately stated. So I believe we haven't had a second on that one yet. So can I get a second? Any further discussion? Call the question. All in favour of granting council's approval of the establishment of a beer garden by the events committee?
Between 12 and 4 on Canada.
All in favour? And opposed? Okay, I'll go with it. Moving on, Rain Barrel.
Can I defer it because of time?
Okay, thanks. So we have 25 minutes. So that was it. And so now I will call for a motion of resolution to close the meeting.
Public questions and comments.
It's public questions.
I always skip that one. I've ridden completely over it. I beg your pardon. I wasn't trying to quash public comments and public comments and questions. Welcome.
No,
You sure?
It was great, you were open the floor up when you shouldn't have, but hey. We got
Well,
it.
Yeah.
I recognized.
Thank you.
Sometimes there's a value in saying your piece during the active discussion.
Yeah, it's silly to wait because the
It
moment's
makes
lost.
it a lot
Well, I
easier.
was waiting.
Yeah.
Actually, we should do a form where somebody's got something like that, because some residents will sit quietly for an hour and a half when it's actually quite relevant at the moment.
I know, I should probably say that at the beginning, that you know, upon recognition, you're welcome to say a few words.
Lunch after 4 hours would be great.
Yeah,
Good.
let's keep it under 4. Okay, so seeing none, we'll move on to the next, which is the resolution to close the meeting. Can I have a motion? And a second? All in favour? Opposed? Carried. So thanks very much for coming, everybody. If you're not supposed to be here, you shouldn't be here. We're going to move into closed. And hopefully it's going to be... Are we going? I'll report out that Council will be providing their updates and input to the annual report to staff by when?
The next council meeting.
Next council
June
meeting,
16th.
June 16th. That is all that we're reporting out from the closed session. Can I have a motion to adjourn?
You want that, Ron?
Second? All in favour? Opposed? Carried. Meeting adjourned. With 2 minutes to spare.